Hey guys, this is part 1 of What if Naruto was a son of Ultra Instinct Goku? Don't forget to like and subscribe to help the YouTube algorithm spread this video to more viewers. Remember, the next part will drop once we hit 200 likes, and tap the bell icon to stay updated. Now enjoy the story. Chapter 1, Son of a Legendary Warrior. And how he was born. No one was more excited for this opportunity than Son Goku, a young strapping man of 18 years old, ready to make his third attempt at the tournament, and this time, the young fighter knew he was going to win. He had to fight a strange girl tomorrow who kept glaring at him for some reason, but then he would get to test his skill against Ma Jr., or as he was better known, Piccolo Jr., son of the great demon king Piccolo. His large black spikes blew blissfully with the wind, as the material artist's black eyes were stuck staring up at the now night sky with a look of peace. He was sharing a room with his best friend and fellow student of Master Roshi. Krillin, the bald monk, slept peacefully with a happy smile, and a small bit of drool escaping his parted lips. Snoring softly, as he wrapped himself like a mummy in his blankets, cocooned in what could be described as a fluffy warm silk hug. Goku laughed softly at his friend before returning his attention to the night sky, sighing as he rested his chin on his palm. However, his keen eyes caught red, a familiar red that young martial artists hadn't seen in a very long time. Goku tilted his head, a confused frown on his lips as he silently thought to himself, I think I know her. Without even thinking, Goku leapt out the window, landing gracefully as he gave chase after the mysterious stranger. The black spiky-haired teen was quick as he tracked down a young woman who was wandering around the closed arena, standing amongst the rows of empty seats as she admired the grand structure, attempting to imagine tomorrow's match with closed eyes. Goku was slow as he approached the red-headed young woman, softly calling out with a sheepish smile. Excuse me, miss. Sorry to bother you, but I have a feeling we've met somewhere before. Goku? Is that you? The mysterious woman asked as she slowly turned around, brushing aside a stray crimson lock. Sono? Goku exclaimed in shock, struggling to believe this was the same girl he met in Jingle Village all those years ago. Goku got an excited look as he started to look around. Hey Suno, if you're here, does that mean Ader is here as well? Sorry Goku, it's just me. Ader would have loved to come, but he had to stay home. Suno explained as she and Goku left the arena to walk around the nearby city. The crimson-haired girl had a burst of courage as she said to the boy she had developed feelings for since she was just a child. Actually Goku, I'm really happy I found you. I heard about the tournament, and I just knew you would be here. You came looking for me, Suno? Goku asked with a head tilt and a smile that had the poor girl's face glowing a slight red, now just noticing how much more handsome the affliction of her desire has grown. I did. I just didn't think it would be so hard to say. Suno muttered in slight embarrassment, struggling to confess her feeling. Come with me, Goku said suddenly as he took Suno's hand, leading her away from the city and its many people. Goku, where are we going? What about the tournament? My favorite place in the entire world. I think you'll really like it. It helps me when I need to think, and we'll make it back in time. Goku assured Suno with an easygoing smile before bringing a cupped hand to his mouth, calling out for his trusty yellow cloud. Nimbus! Swoosh! The giant yellow cloud swept down from the sky, stopping and hovering just before the two, awaiting for them to jump on and lead the magical cloud where it needed to go. Goku was the first one to leap onto his magical yellow cloud, his pure heart stopping him from falling through. The young martial artist held his hand out for Suno to take. Suno, while nervous, didn't hesitate to take Goku's hand, letting out a little yelp when the mighty warrior easily pulled the young woman onto Nimbus, laughing and wrapping her arms around Goku's chest as she got comfortable, gasping as the cloud slowly brought them into the air before zooming off in Goku's desired direction. Suno's beautiful hair danced with the wind, the white puffy clouds within reach, and of course, she couldn't resist the chance to reach out and touch the ball of moisture. Goku, seeing this, smiled, happy to see his old friend enjoying herself. It didn't take long before Goku saw the familiar side of his home and, more importantly, the grave of his beloved grandfather Gohan. The young martial artist gave a melancholy-type smile as he clasped his hands together and bowed. Suno followed her friend's lead by holding her hands together and giving a bow of respect to Goku's grandfather. Goku sighed before humming in thought to himself. He gestured for Suno to follow as he led the crimson-haired teen to a beautiful clearing where they made a fire to stay warm, using nearby broken branches and a simple ki blast. Suno, after enjoying the heat from the flames, took the moment to say, It's been so long since we've seen each other, but knowing you Goku, you've probably been busy on all sorts of adventures. Goku nodded and with a laugh, scratching at his black spiky locks as he said, That's true. The last couple years have been particularly crazy. I spent a ton of time training with Kami. Kami? Suno questioned with a tilt of her head, trying to picture what this Kami looked like. Image him. He's got this giant lookout in the sky, and because of him, I'm way stronger than I was before. I'm sure now I could take out Demon King Piccolo, no problem. Goku replied, partially saying that last bit to himself. Suno looked at her friend in amazement, still struggling to believe this was a same small boy with the monkey tail. The crimson-haired girl complimented the martial artist with dazzled eyes. You really have grown. Hee hee, thanks. What about you, Suno? What have you been doing? Well, nothing quite as exciting as you, but with the help of Ater and the disappearance of the Red Ribbon Army, Jingle Village has never been better. It's so much bigger now, Suno told Goku, becoming more excited near the end, as the growth of her home and the cooperation of its people always brought a warm feeling to her heart. Goku, happy to see Suno's passion, grinned as he said, I'm so glad. I'll have to come visit everyone sometime. I would love that. Suno responded with a smile, before turning to look back at the fire, the poor girl's face going slightly red, as called out to the young martial artist by her side. Goku, yeah, Suno? Goku called out to the crimson-haired teen, tilting his head as wondered why Suno's face was so red. Was the fire too hot? There's an important reason why I came to see you tonight, Suno started to say, looking beautiful with the roaring fire and night sky dazzling bright, having Goku's full attention as she continued. Ever since I found and saved you from the cold all those years ago, I felt a way that I couldn't quite describe, or I guess since I was so young, I didn't really know what it was, but I do now. Suno! Goku whispered out her name as drew closer, brows tipping in confusion, as he started to feel strange. His face felt like it was on fire, and his heart was beating like a drum. He couldn't quite explain why Suno was making him feel so different, so when the gorgeous crimson-haired girl pressed her lips against his own, he let his instincts take over. Following his instincts, he pressed back, reaching out to touch and hold Suno before the need for air became too great, and the two temporarily separated. Suno stroked Goku's cheek tenderly, looking at him with nothing but passion and desire. I've loved you since I was a little girl, and now that we're together again, even if it's just for tonight, I wanted to show you how I feel. Let me show you how much you really mean to me. On that night, a love was shared, but at least it would only be for this night, but unknown to the two, their act of passion would have lasting consequences. The very next day, after saying goodbye to Suno, and dropping the crimson-haired woman back at her home in Jingle Village, Son Goku would speedily return back to the World Martial Arts Tournament with no time to waste, arriving by the skin of his teeth and nearly being disqualified for his tardiness. His opponent, the mysterious woman who had been glaring at him the day before, didn't appreciate his disrespect and made it known as soon as their fight was cleared to start. The black-haired woman, who seemed to be holding a massive grudge against Goku, fought relentlessly, using all of her strength, but against the mighty warrior that was Son Goku, she was no match. Goku effortlessly knocked his fellow martial artist out the ring, and when the humble fighter went to congratulate his fellow warrior, it was revealed that this mysterious woman was intact, someone he knew, a girl he met years ago, Chi-Chi, the princess and daughter of the demon Ox King. With that astonishing reveal quickly came the one Goku made in his youth, a promise he didn't quite understand but was still willing to honor, which was to marry Chi-Chi when they found each other again. A celebration for the now engaged couple would have to wait, as the battle between Goku and Piccolo Jr. was about to take place, and what an epic battle it was. The fate of planet Earth decided between these two clashing titans. The arena had crumbled to dust from their clash of powers. Even Piccolo himself had grown to the size of giant in his effort to kill his greatest foe, but alas, Son Goku showed his strength and determination could not be beat. The mighty martial artist had won and Earth had once again been saved. Now Goku was free to rest with his new wife and start a new chapter on his exciting journey, but unfortunately, this story isn't about Son Goku, but instead his son, a son he himself doesn't even know about. The snow crunched underneath sturdy boots, a sigh escaping slightly parted lips, as a glove-covered hand reached up to push back a very familiar strand of crimson-colored hair. A bright yellow beanie rested atop of a now older Suno, who was waving in greeting to her fellow villagers. A giant man holding large lumbers of wood by her side, but this man, who looked very similar to the famous Frankenstein's monster, was no man at all, but in fact the android Ater, a very close friend to both Suno and Goku. The mother of one took a moment to push her snow shovel down, wiping her brow from the hard work of shoveling a pathway. The young woman turned to look at the happy android, asking, Ater, you haven't seen Naruto, have you? Ater stopped to think, shifting the wood in his arms as he said, I think he went hunting again. Suno couldn't help but shake her head with a laugh and a fond smile as she stared up into the sky, simply saying, That boy is just like his father. With Naruto, miles upon miles away from the snowy area of Jingle Village, where the greenery dominated the vast land, a young boy was crouched on a tree with his golden monkey tail lazily swinging in the wind. His blue eyes were narrowed as he prepared to pounce on his unsuspecting prey. A hand reached up to scratch at his blonde spikes of hair. It seemed to be a strange mixture of his father's hair and his uncle Minato, who died years before Naruto was born. The boy had dismissed his winter clothing, having no need for it, especially with his prey so close. The area shook from some massive creature's titanic steps. Many of the smaller animals fled or found somewhere small and confined to hide, but what did the son of Goku do? Well, He charged headfirst towards the danger, of course. Naruto had a massive grin as he drew closer to the surprised dinosaur, its massive maw, filled with razor-sharp teeth, opening wide as it attempted to eat the monkey-tailed boy in one bite, but Naruto showed bizarre and unnatural agility and speed for a child his age. Naruto dodged its mighty jaws, the gigantic beast snapping at air, and left itself valuable for the young warrior to jump up high and come down hard on the dinosaur's neck, killing it instantly. The titanic reptile crumbled to the grassy ground below. Naruto dusted his hands, with a grin, before reaching out and easily hefting the monster-sized creature over his head with one hand. To defy physics even more, Naruto steadily started to float, and then even soar through the sky, mumbling to himself. I hope Mama and the villagers are happy with my catch. Just the thought of all this meat cooked up has got me hungry. With the thought of his future meal in mind, Naruto tripled his speed, being surrounded by a silver-white aura as he flew past a couple clouds. Anyone who saw the monkey-tailed boy's speeding form simply assumed he was a plane or a jet, and went on with their day, but those on the colder side of the continent knew better. Many of those in Jingle Village all grouped together to welcome Naruto home and admire his greatest catch of the day. Naruto's whiskered cheeks, now rosy and pink from the cold, pulled back into a massive smile at the sight of Suno approaching with Ader. The youth shrugged the dinosaur's carcass off his shoulder, making the surrounding villagers jump from the impact, as he rushed towards his mother, leaping into her arms as he gave her a massive hug, his tail briefly wrapping around her waist before the monkey boy jumped down, taking Suno's hand as he guided her towards his catch. I got another big one for us. Suno rested a gloved hand on Naruto's head, rustling his blonde spiky locks as she complimented her son with a grin. Good job, kiddo. This will keep everyone fed for months. Hee hee. Naruto looked proud of himself as he scratched at his whiskered cheek, following Ader and telling the massive android of his adventure as the two started to drag the dinosaur to the butcher's. Suno could only watch with another look of fondness, sighing as she once again thought to herself, so much like his father. It was a brand new day. The sun was out, the skies were clear, and the people of Jingle Village were in bright spirits. Well, most of the inhabitants. Young Naruto sat high on a mountain top, his arms crossed and his eyes shut. He seemed to be concentrating, searching for something, and what that something was, Naruto had no clue. No, the 5-year-old was left stumped as he opened his eyes to stare into the sky. He knows he felt something, a power, possibly the strongest to come to this planet so far. It paled in comparison to his own strength, but it also made Naruto extremely curious. That was why the monkey-tailed boy sat on the mountaintop. He was trying to learn how to sense the key he felt, to pinpoint its exact location, so he could go investigate the disturbance. Naruto was so focused on his goal that he didn't even wish his mother a good morning or stay for breakfast. His outrageous hunger was put aside for his eagerness to fight. That's when Naruto felt it, a massive spike and ki, no multiple spikes. Without haste, Naruto shot from his spot like a rocket, breaking the sound barrier in seconds as he concentrated on the power, but even with Naruto's amazing speed, it seemed he was too late. A battle definitely took place from the massive craters and scorch marks that scarred the earth, but the real evidence was a man with long spiky hair and a massive hole in his chest. Naruto slowly approached the long-haired man, stopping and gasping once he noticed the brown monkey tail wrapped around his waist. Walking closer, Naruto crouched in front of the presumed dead stranger, reaching out with his hand, stopping when he could faintly feel his ki. He's alive. Help me! Naruto nearly jumped back when he heard the stranger's weak but dying voice, moving so he was next to the stranger's face. His only open eye glanced at Naruto, then down to his own golden monkey tail, his nun-swollen eye widening as he whispered out. Why, you're a scion? A scion? Is that some kind of food? Naruto questioned with a tilt of his head, frowning when he noticed the mysterious stranger's eyes steadily start to close and his breathing grow more shallow. Without even thinking or needing to be asked, Naruto carefully picked up the dying man and concentrated his ki into the man's larger body while steadily floating the two into the air. Naruto bit his lip as he looked around frantically, unsure of what to do. That's when Naruto felt it. Another short but sudden spike in ki. Having no other options, Naruto rushed towards the direction where he felt the burst of power, coming across a land that was filled with nothing but tall mighty trees, and in the center a large well-crafted home that almost looked fit enough for royalty. Naruto landed as gently as he could, placing the bleeding stranger on the ground before turning and calling out towards the house. Hello? Is anyone there? I need some help. What Naruto wasn't expecting was for an older girl with shoulder-length blonde hair held up in a high ponytail. She had the most mesmerizing pair of brown eyes Naruto had ever seen. She glanced at Naruto, then the stranger that was passed out and near dead on the ground, turning on her heels as she rushed back inside, calling out. Grandpa, what is it, Tsunade? A kind and aged voice called out, following the girl outside and gasping in slight surprise at the sight. Oh dear! A man with long gray hair, tan skin and dark eyes quickly approached Naruto and the dying Scion, taking a glance at the monkey-tailed man before ordering the boy. "Bring him inside. It might not be too late to save his life." Naruto followed the new stranger into his home, briefly glancing at the girl, Tsunade, before following the girl's grandpa into a room filled with medical supplies. "Place him on the table for me, son." Naruto followed his instructions, placing the near-dead Scion on the table and then stepping back, crossing his arms as he watched Tsunade move around the room quickly, gathering everything her grandfather needed without him even asking her. "Do you need me to help, Mr. Hashirama?" "And there's no need. I'll take care of everything here," Hashirama assured Naruto kindly before turning to his granddaughter, suggesting, "Tsunade, why don't you take the young man outside? This may take a while." Tsunade nodded, quietly saying, "Follow me," as she led the golden monkey-tailed boy out of her massive home, and Naruto was more than happy to follow the older girl, briefly stopping to glance over his shoulder before following her towards her favorite spot, where she liked to sit and think. A large tree filled with giant juicy red apples. Tsunade found a comfortable place to sit on a soft patch of grass, while Naruto leapt into the tree, getting his hands on as many apples as possible, nearly startling Tsunade as he hung upside down by his tail, already munching on the red delicious fruit, while offering the other one in his hand to the older girl. Tsunade raised one of her eyebrows, almost baffled at the amount of nerve the monkey boy had to start eating their apples while offering her one like it was his to give away, but instead of getting mad or offended, Tsunade accepted the apple, nodding her head in thanks as she took a bite out of the fruit. "Do you think that man is gonna be okay?" Naruto questioned as he looked back towards the house, putting aside a half-eaten apple. Tsunade shrugged, saying passively, "I don't know. Most normal people don't survive that long with a massive hole in their chest." Naruto, not sure what to make of that answer, let out a as he went back to munching on his apple. Tsunade, noticing how downtrodden Naruto seemed at her answer, hoped to console him by saying, "But Gramps is the strongest healer and fighter in the world. Heh, he's even better than the great mutant Rashi." Naruto threw aside his apple core, moving closer to the older girl, as he said with a tile of his head, "Eh? Who's that? Is he strong?" Tsunade rolled her brown eyes at what she thought should be common knowledge. She sighed as she explained to Naruto who exactly Rashi is. "Only one of the best martial artists of all time, second to my grandpa of course. From what I heard they used to be rivals." "Rivals, huh? Is this Rashi guy alive?" Naruto questioned Tsunade, eager to know if such a strong martial artist was close or possibly nearby. "I think so. My grandpa sends him letters sometimes." Tsunade answered with a shrug. Tsunade also noticed Naruto seemed content just sitting there, said to the monkey-tailed boy, "You might as well head home and come back tomorrow. I don't think you'll be seeing much change. I hope he gets better quickly." Naruto said out loud, but mostly to himself. He turned and started to run in the direction the blonde ponytailed girl assumed was his home. The young martial artist glanced over his shoulder, waving goodbye as he shouted, "It was nice meeting you, Tsunade." The granddaughter of Hashirama couldn't help but shake her head with a faint smile, muttering to herself, "Weird kid." The sky was dark, and the winds were cold. Naruto could see the faint outline of a crescent moon as he glanced outside his window. The young lad couldn't help but sigh as he looked away, turning his attention to his approaching mother whose arms were full with a tray of food, big enough to feed 5 grown men. "Here you go, sweetheart," Sudo said happily as she placed a small feast in front of the Scion child, moving to take her own place at the table. "Thanks, Mama," Naruto said half-heartedly, as he didn't attack his plate right away, just staring at the food with a distracted gaze. "Everything all right, honey? You're not even touching your food?" Sudo questioned in concern, knowing the sign straight away when her child was upset. "I guess I'm not that hungry," Naruto answered with a shrug, resting his arms on the table as he was stuck thinking about the man he found yesterday, as well as who this Master Rashi was. "Not hungry?" Sudo questioned with a look of concern, rushing to her son's side to feel his forehead, asking him, "Are you feeling okay? Do you have a fever?" Naruto gently removed his mother's hand with a shake of his head and a smile as he clarified, "It's nothing like that, Mama. It's just, do you know anyone by the name Mutant Rashi?" Naruto found himself feeling quite relieved and overjoyed at his mother's nod and smile as she said, "I do. He's your father's teacher. He trained my dad?" The golden monkey-tailed boy questioned with wide eyes, resting his hands on the table as he leaned forward in excitement. Suno nodded, resting a hand on her chin as she started to remember what she could about the old martial arts master. "From what I heard, he's quite the skilled martial artist, but also a deadly pervert." "I see," Naruto said, not exactly knowing what a pervert was but still wanting to find Master Rashi. Suno sighed as she saw the excited smile spreading across her son's face. "I know that look. You're planning to go look for him, aren't you?" You know me too well," Naruto replied to his mother with a cheeky smile, scratching at his spiky blonde locks. If I remember correctly from what your father told me a long time ago, I think he lives near the Southeast Islands, close to Lako Village. Suno told her son, hoping to help him any way she could in his search for his father's master. There was also a selfish desire to send Naruto looking for Goku's teacher. She hoped the old master would have a way of introducing a son to his father. Lako Village, huh? I guess I'll start searching there, Naruto proclaimed with an eager grin, his appetite reappearing with a vengeance as he advanced towards his mountain of food. Just be careful, honey, Suno requested as she prepared to eat her own modest-sized meal. Naruto, while holding a large drumstick that seemed almost as large as his arm, waved off his mother with an easygoing grin, saying, "There's no need to worry, Mama. I'm the strongest after all." Suno couldn't help but shake her head, sighing as she said, "I know you are, but I still can't help but worry about you, my little man." Naruto, not wanting his mother to worry, replied in a more serious way, "I'll be safe, I promise." The next day, Naruto was soaring through the sky at speeds one would consider impossible. That familiar silver-white aura shrouded his entire small form as he dashed through clouds, past many flying creatures, big and small. Naruto was in a hurry to return back to Tsunade and Hashirama's home, remembering what Tsunade said yesterday about her grandfather sending letters to the old turtle hermit. The monkey-tailed boy gently touched down on the grassy ground below and started looking around for the grandfather and granddaughter duo, frowning in confusion when he couldn't sense their key anywhere. Deciding they wouldn't mind if he went inside to check on the man he found yesterday, Naruto walked into the center household, using his senses to find the room housing the long, spiky-haired stranger. He was still but breathing with blood-stained bandages wrapped around his chest. Whatever Hashirama did, it worked. "I'm glad to see you're okay," Naruto said to the unconscious Scion, his golden monkey tail softly swishing left and right. Kakarot." Naruto tilted his head in confusion, listening as the mysterious stranger mumbled a name in his sleep. "What are you doing here?" Tsunade asked with raised brow and her hands on her hips, resisting the urge to grab the monkey-tailed boy by the scruff of his shirt and throw him outside. "Seeing if he's still alive," was Naruto's simple response as he turned to face the slightly irate blonde. Tsunade rolled her eyes, removing her hands from her hips as she walked over to the unconscious Scion. "You know, it's rude to enter someone's home when they're not there, right, is it?" Naruto asked, his grin making it hard for Tsunade to tell if he was joking or not. "You're hopeless," Tsunade replied with a shake of her head, but if you looked close enough, you could see she was hiding a faint smile. "I'm glad he's going to be okay," Naruto said earnestly, as he stared at the sleeping Scion's prone form. Tsunade curled a brow, glancing at the bandaged alien and then back at Naruto, asking, "How can you tell? He still might not make it through tonight. I just have a feeling, you know?" Was Naruto's honest but simple reply. His beaming smile and confidence in himself almost had Tsunade joining her fellow blonde in his belief. "So you just came to check up on him?" questioned Tsunade as she led Naruto out of the room. Naruto's smile turned more sheepish as he scratched at his spiky locks. "Well, I also wanted to see your grandpa. Is he here?" "Yeah, the old-timer is just playing in his garden. Follow me," Tsunade ordered as she brought Naruto to where her grandfather was sitting peacefully, or rather, meditating under a large mighty oak tree with blooming flowers surrounding his peaceful form. "It's nice to see you again, my monkey-tailed friend." "Yo, how's it going, old-timer?" Naruto asked with a wave, his ear twitching as he heard Tsunade lightly snicker into her hand. Hashirama didn't take any offense to Naruto's greeting, responding with one of his own as he said, "I didn't think we'd be seeing you so soon." "Well, I wish I could say this was just a friendly visit," Naruto replied honestly as he sheepishly rubbed his neck. I was hoping you could tell me where Master Roshi is," the golden monkey-tailed boy requested, surprising Tsunade as much as it did Hashirama. The old man pondered as he rubbed his chin, hiding his smile as he asked, "Why are you looking for my old rival? If you don't mind me asking, I don't really know him, but recently I found out he trained my dad," Naruto said, looking away from Hashirama and Tsunade so he could stare up at the sky, sighing as he tried to picture what his father looked like. He sounded slightly sad as he continued to say, "I don't really know what to expect, but I want to meet the man who trained my father. It won't be much, but I think if I train with Master Roshi, it might just bring me closer to my dad." Tsunade stared at Naruto with a surprised gaze, not expecting the usual bright-eyed happy-go-lucky boy to be so downtrodden, but in a way Tsunade could empathize given her own situation with her parents. "I see," Hashirama quietly responded, nodding his head as he found Naruto's desire to find his old friend more than reasonable. "If you're so persistent, then perhaps you wouldn't mind delivering something to my old friend, would you?" "Not at all, old-timer," Naruto responded with a salute and a smile. "Ha ha ha ha! Cheeky brat." Hashirama laughed, finding himself taking quite a liking to the monkey-tailed boy. "I know Master Roshi lives near Lako Village, but I'm not exactly sure where he is," Naruto told the old martial artist and healer, following Hashirama and Tsunade into their home. "That's okay, my boy. he is quite difficult to find. He lives in a small house on an island in the middle of the ocean. You'll know it once you spot it," Hashirama said as he handed Naruto a couple of letters and a thin sealed package. "Small house on an island, got it," Naruto assured Hashirama after repeating what he was meant to look for to himself a couple of times. "Just tell Rashi I sent you," Hashirama told the golden monkey-tailed boy, knowing it will give the youth a better chance of getting trained by his old rival. "Thank you, Mr. Hashirama," Naruto thanked earnestly as he bowed his head, and action Hashirama reciprocated. "No problem, son. I better get going. I'll be back later," Naruto promised, waving goodbye to the hype pigtailed girl in particular. "Bye, Tsunade." Tsunade waved back, watching Naruto float into the sky, then zipping across the skyline like a shooting star. Naruto wasted no time in finding Lako village, hovering above the small island, smiling at the sight of the villagers going about their day. The monkey-tailed boy turned his attention to the great blue surrounding the small tropical piece of land. He crossed his arms, closing his eyes as he spread out his ki, in a sense, using his energy to search for Master Roshi similar to echolocation. When Naruto's ki interacted with Roshi's, it lit off a flare inside the monkey-tailed boy's mind and revealed the location of the old turtle hermit's home. Naruto wasted no time flying across the ocean, the waves parting from his velocity. Following the ki he could now sense, Naruto eventually found himself upon an even small island, home to a decent-sized house and a couple of palm trees. Came house. This is definitely the place, Naruto thought as he gently touched down on the soft sand below. Enjoying the serenity of the island for a couple of moments, then walking up to the screen door, knocking 3 times before calling out. "Excuse me, I'm looking for a Master Roshi? Hello? Hold your horses, I'm coming. An aged voice called out. The screen door swung open, and out stepped a man in a button-up red and white t-shirt that was playfully decorated with flowers. Standing before Naruto with his bald head glistening from the sun, and a single hand holding his signature cane, was none other than Master Roshi himself. The martial artist stroked his beard with his free hand as he asked, "Who might you be?" "My name is Son Naruto, and I have come in search of my father's master," Naruto said as he pressed a closed fist against an open palm as he bowed before the old turtle hermit. "I have some letters here for you from Mr. Hashirama." "Wait, did you say your last name was Son?" Roshi exclaimed, his iconic sunglasses nearly slipping off his face as his beard hid his wide grin. Hee. You're just like your old master, Goku? So you're the child of Son Goku, Well, your hair is different, but the smile and tail? That outstanding strength? Hey, you're his son all right, Master Roshi confirmed after studying Naruto's features and getting a brief reading on his strength. He thanked Naruto for bringing him his letters and the package that his oldest friend had sent. He could only hope it was a new dirty magazine. Hee. Well, not to brag, but I am the strongest after all, and I guess it makes sense my dad would also be pretty strong as well, Naruto said confidently, some arrogance slipping into his tone at the acknowledgement of his power. "The strongest, you say? That is a very bold claim," Roshi commented as he stroked his beard, starting to wonder how strong Naruto truly was, and if he was the ace they needed up their sleeve for the approaching Scion threat. "It's the truth," Naruto assured the martial arts master. You wouldn't mind if I test out your strength for myself?" The monkey-tailed boy was more than happy to agree to Master Roshi's request, but he was worried the old master wouldn't be able to keep up. "You sure you'll be okay?" Naruto asked, worried he might hurt the old man if he used too much of his power. "I think I'll manage," Roshi said with a smile, waving off Naruto's concern as he walked away from his home and closer to the shore. "If you say so," Naruto muttered as he watched the turtle shell-wearing man waddle over to his spot with an elderly stride. Naruto felt a bead of sweat slide down his cheek as he gave Roshi a deadpan stare. "All right, boyo, I'm ready. Come at me." At Roshi's order, Naruto charged with his arm and fist drawn back for a heavy haymaker, strong enough to send the old man flying, but not cause any serious injuries. That was what Naruto was expecting, but what the youth didn't expect was for Roshi to duck under Naruto's punch, his sandals swiping the sand as he maneuvered, so he was standing with his back towards the stunned Scion. Roshi gave a cheeky grin under his beard as he said to Naruto, "Remember to take it easy on me. I am old after all. Heh." Naruto rushed back with newfound excitement, throwing a multitude of punches and kicks that the martial artist dodged effortlessly with his hands tucked behind his back. Naruto tried to surprise Roshi with a suppressed ki shock wave, but the martial artist proved his adaptability by jumping over the attack. The old master wasn't necessarily faster than Naruto, but he didn't seem to waste any of his movements, planning ahead of time and dodging with his own basic instincts, an instinct that could only be gained through years of experience and wisdom. Naruto, too busy underestimating Roshi, wasn't prepared for a small ki blast to be thrown into his face, temporarily blinding the half-breed and leaving his tail open to be snatched and held in a tight grip. Naruto felt woozy, off balance and tired all at the same time. Rubbing his face, Naruto looked over his shoulder with sloth-like movement. Eyes narrowed once he spotted Rashi was the one who was exploiting his weakness. A weakness he didn't even know about. What dash? Naruto barely managed to mumble out before being bonked on the head by a laughing Rashi. Got ya, my boy. Rashi laughed as he let Naruto's tail go, watching as the half-breed Scion shook his head, his strength slowly returning, but his eyes looked cautious, but also intrigued. TCH, sneaky old man. Naruto complained as he wrapped his tail tightly around his waist, walking towards Rashi with his arms crossed as the old master seemed to be thinking quietly to himself. Rashi was broken from his thoughts by Naruto's comment, chuckling as he said, Perhaps, but nonetheless, you are strong, truly, your strength easily outshined your father when he was this age, but you lack concentration, technique, and a proper way to harness your power. Rashi was expecting a lot of things from the boy, strong in power yes, but still very young in age. Perhaps not old enough to understand the wisdom of what the old turtle hermit was trying to say, and might lash out because of it, but instead the young man bowed very deeply, sounding extremely humble as he asked, no begged. Please master, teach me. I wish to be a better warrior, and to surpass my father. Normally, I won't take just anyone as my student, but you are the son of my greatest pupil, and have won the favor of one of my oldest friends. I will train you in the turtle hermit way, Rashi said proudly, unprepared for the sudden surprise hug. Thank you, thank you. Naruto repeated over and over before letting the old master go, ready to begin his training. Can we start training now? Heh, he really is like you, Goku. Rashi thought to himself with a shake of his head, adjusting his sunglasses as he explained. Not today, my boy. Given how strong you are, I have to make some plans to adjust to your level, but we'll start right away tomorrow. Go home and rest. One of the rules of the Turtle Hermit Way is to rest well after all. Right, master? Naruto saluted before slowly floating into the sky, waving goodbye to the old master as he yelled. I'll see you tomorrow, master. See you tomorrow, my new pupil. Rashi said as he waved the flying boy goodbye, quietly thinking to himself, I better call Bulma and let her know of this new development. That boy will definitely help us defeat the Scions. The Scion youth was practically beaming as he flew through the clouds, intending to head back home, when he felt a familiar weak spike of energy. The long-haired stranger was finally awake. Naruto didn't waste a second before he flew in the direction of Hashirama's home, forgetting his manners in his moment of excitement as he ran into the large home. More than familiar with the path to the mysterious stranger's temporary room, Naruto entered expecting many things. Not Tsunade attempting to bash the scowling stranger's head in, but was held back barely by a nervously laughing Hashirama. Calm down, Tsunade. He didn't mean any harm, Hashirama said in an attempt to ease his granddaughter's growing fury, but just like his beloved wife, God rest her soul, she was stubborn and hard-headed. Tsunade growled as she glared daggers at the smirking older Scion. Her honey-brown eyes narrowed into slits as she barked. This stupid called me a serving wench and demanded I bring him food. TCH, attempting to harm a man while he's injured? Have you no honor, girl? The long spiky-haired man questioned, wincing as he attempted to stand. I'll show you honor, Tsunade roared as she almost broke free from her grandfather's strong grip. I knew you were awake. Naruto's happy exclamation had everyone in the room turning to face the young happy Scion, his tail unwrapping from around his waist in his excitement. You were the one who saved me, the injured man muttered, his eyes drawn to the boy's golden monkey tail, a tail not too dissimilar from his own. So you really are a Scion? I don't know what a Scion is, Naruto replied sheepishly, scratching the back of his head with a laugh and smile. A smile that looked very much like his father's. The stranger grunted as he moved into a more comfortable position, saying, It's what you are, boy. Your heritage. My heritage? Naruto repeated with confusion written all over his face. The man nodded, telling the Scion youth, You don't have the typical look for a Scion, but given you're a half-breed, I'm not surprised. What are Scions? Naruto asked with a tilt of his head, raising a questioning brow. The Scions were once a mighty race of star-traveling conquerors, the strongest and most ruthless warriors to ever grace the universe, with a rising kingdom that could only be rivaled by the Cold Empire. At least, we were, the mysterious stranger explained with his tone becoming more somber near the end. He could still remember where he was the day it happened. He was on a nameless planet with the prince, Vegeta the Four, the Scion elite Nappa, and 2 low-class Scions like himself, although those 2 didn't last long anyway. What happened to them? Naruto asked, wanting to know what happened to his people. Tsunade was curious as well, but she was also incredibly weary of the man, thinking he was nothing but trouble. What I and my 2 fellow Scions were told at the time was that our planet Vegeta was hit by an asteroid, destroying our home and nearly wiping out our entire race for good. Raditz told his fellow Scion sadly, his mind drifting to his mother and father, wondering what they were doing in their final moments, wondering if they were together. Did they think of him as death approached? Did they think of Kakarot? Tsunade scowled as she crossed her arms, accusing the injured Scion. If that's the case, then why did you come to this planet? To conquer and kill every last person here? The injured warrior flared his ki, glaring at Tsunade, even impressed by her courage as she glared back. Silence, foolish girl. I came here on my own accord, not in the name of taking over your miserable planet. Why did you come to Earth? Naruto asked, drawing the long-haired Silent's attention once more. I came in search of my brother, Kakarot. Naruto did his best not to interrupt the man, silently remembering to himself that was the name he was muttering in his sleep. The mysterious Silent continued. He was sent away from our planet before it blew up. My mother sent his quadrants to my scouter in a secret message. A message I didn't hear until a year ago. Hashirama had his arms crossed, eyes narrowed as he deduced. Given the form we found you in, your brother wasn't pleased to see you, was he? The mysterious stranger held eye contact with Hashirama, holding a tense silence before gruffly replying. No. No, he wasn't. Why? Naruto's question made his fellow Scion look away, eyes glazed from the memories of the battle that nearly took his life. He refused to answer at first, his silence more than speaking enough for how he felt, and how things resolved between himself and his little brother. It doesn't matter. He won, I lost. Did you guys fight? Naruto asked, his curiosity getting the better of him. We did. Why? It was such a simple question, and yet, the mysterious stranger still felt a great weight as he answered honestly. Because he refused to listen to me, because I was too prideful to see he wasn't the Scion I thought he would be. Because I was weak. His voice became close to a whisper near the end, his brows narrowed and his fist clenched tight, as if admitting his own weakness was a hit to his pride. His pride as a warrior, and as a brother. Naruto, while still a child, had a bright and hopeful outlook. He gave a smile full of innocence, his voice soft as he said, I'm sorry you guys had a fight, but maybe when you see each other again, you can say sorry and make up, and then maybe you can be brothers again. The stranger kept himself turned away from Naruto, stuck thinking about what the boy said, wondering if it was possible for himself and Kakarot to be an actual family. Hashirama, noticing that the elder Scion wasn't in a talking mood, started to guide his granddaughter and the Scion child out of the room. Come along, Naruto, he needs his rest. Naruto gave one last glance over his shoulder, giving a sad smile that the man couldn't see, saying honestly, I hope you feel better soon, mister. Before Naruto could fully leave the room, his fellow Scion decided to tell him his name. Raditz. My name is Raditz. Outside the Senju household, Naruto was in a joyful mood, his arms folded behind the back of his head, as he branded his happy grin for Hashirama and Tsunade to see. Tsunade, who was still a little ticked off from the rude Silent's comments, glanced at her fellow blonde with a raised brow, asking, What's with the good mood? I finally know his name. Naruto replied simply, making the older girl roll her eyes. Doesn't take much to make you happy, huh? Tsunade said, crossing her arms as she gave a deadpan stare to the grinning Scion boy. Hee hee. Naruto turned his happy visage to the older man, asking, Hey, Mr. Hashirama, would you mind if I stayed the night? I suppose that wouldn't be a problem, but wouldn't your family be worried? Hashirama questioned, not wanting to worry the boy's family. Naruto waved off the old-timer's worry, saying, Nah, they know I can take care of myself. Besides, I really want to speak more with Raditz after my training with Master Roshi. Hashirama accepted this with a nod, giving a kind smile as he said, Well, if they don't mind, then you can stay. Tsunade can show you your room. Naruto bowed in thanks. Thank you, Mr. Hashirama. It is quite all right, my boy. Now if you will excuse me, I must rest. Healing Raditz took a lot out of these old bones. Hashirama told the two, excusing himself as he made to go retire in his room. I'll bring you your supper soon, Grandpa. Tsunade told Hashirama, letting out a small smile as the man gently tousled her hair. Thank you, Tsuna, Grandpa. Tsunade muttered in embarrassment, her cheeks flushing at Naruto's quiet chuckle. Hashirama shuffled into his home, leaving the two golden-haired children to sit outside, watching as the sun set beautifully behind twin mountains. Naruto watched with his arms crossed, letting out a content sigh before standing up, hand on his stomach as he said, I'm starting to get hungry. Did you want to go hunting with me, Tsunade? I guess I can. The ponytail-wearing girl replied with a shrug. Did you want to make it a game? Naruto asked, getting slightly excited at the thought of doing something fun with someone close to his age. Something he's never been able to do before. A game? Tsunade questioned with a raised brow. Yeah, whoever hunts the biggest animal wins, was Naruto's simple explanation. In his mind, he thought it would be fun. That sounds dumb. Tsunade's reply had the monkey boy pouting, his tail twitching, as he started to think of a way for Tsunade to change her mind. When the plan took root, Naruto turned his head away so Tsunade couldn't see his mischievous smile. Yeah, I understand. I mean, I wouldn't want to play if I knew I was going to lose. Hang on a second, who said I would lose? Tsunade questioned with both hands on her hips, not liking what the monkey-tailed boy was implying as he tickled at her pride. What are you getting at, Shorty? We can make it more interesting if you want. Naruto answered with a shrug while at the same time sending the older girl a smug grin that he knew would awaken her competitive nature. So you want to make a bet, huh? Alright, fine. What do I get when I win? Asked Tsunade, wondering what Naruto would offer, and if he would stay true to his word if he lost. Whatever you want, but when I win, I want you to teach me a cool technique. Naruto declared, confident in himself that he would win. He held out his hand for Tsunade to shake. Tsunade didn't hesitate to shake Naruto's hand, giving a hearty nod as she accepted the younger boy's proposal with a loud deal. On the count of 3, Naruto said as he leapt to stand next to the taller girl, a grin on his lips as he moved into a running position, a form Tsunade mimicked. 1. The blonde-haired scion started the countdown, glancing at Tsunade to see she was smirking. 2. Tsunade continued the countdown, actually starting to feel excited for the first bit of fun she's had in a long time. 3/3. Naruto and Tsunade yelled at the same time, only for the scion boy to be lightly shoved back, giving Tsunade a head start. Hey! That's cheating! Naruto cried out, but he never lost his smile, giving chase, so he was only a hair's breadth behind Tsunade, giving the girl a cheeky grin as he declared, prepare to lose Tsuna! Tsunade's cheeks flushed from both embarrassment and rage at the boy using her grandfather's pet nickname for her. You're so dead, hee hee! Naruto split away from Tsunade, going his own direction to hunt, and to get away from the fuming girl. He used his years of honed skills to track down a herd of deer, but in Naruto's humble opinion, they weren't big enough. So, he continued on with his search, stopping when he found part of a carcass. What remained of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It was still moderately fresh with its blood pooling on the ground. Naruto sniffed the air, crossing his arms as he hummed in thought. Whatever killed this mighty dinosaur was close, and it was still hungry. Naruto's ear twitched as he heard a deep rumbling growl from the shroud of darkness. He narrowed his eyes as he extended his senses. Yet the little scion didn't have to wait long before a roaring hot flame burst from the darkness, illuminating the area enough for Naruto to see nothing but red scales, giant yellow eyes, and rows of sharp teeth. A dragon in all its glory roared down ferociously at Naruto as it spread its gigantic bat-like wings wide. A normal child would be sick with fear, frozen in place at the sight of a fiery death. Naruto just smiled as his eyes glinted mischievously. This would do. Naruto leapt into the without a hint of fear at the possibility of being burnt, soaring through the scoring flames, then appearing close to the dragon's snout with his fist drawn back. He hit the drake with enough force to send its head swinging to the side in a loud snap. Its wings tried to spread wide in defiance, but steadily closed, and the massive creature fell in a heap. Naruto gently patted the massive dragon, silently thanking the once mighty drake for the meal it was about to provide. Naruto lifted the beast overhead and started to fly away from the ashen area, closing his eyes as he channeled his ki, searching for Tsunade. With Tsunade, the granddaughter of the great warrior and healer Hashirama, walked silently but quickly as she searched for her own prey. While not as monstrous when it came to pure ki like Naruto, the high ponytail girl still packed a decent amount of power herself, but also the concentration and control needed to use her ki effectively. Thanks to her near-perfect ki control, Tsunade had a near-perfect map of the area in her mind. She could even sense Naruto miles away. The honey brown-eyed girl moved throughout the trees, stopping when she felt a creature's ki weakening. Curious, Tsunade went to where she felt the disturbance. Surprised when she found an injured doe barely able to stand on its injured leg but doing so anyway to protect its baby from a ravenous wolf pack slowly circling around the fright pair. Tsunade could feel the fear, the need for the doe to protect her child even if it meant her life must end. The girl acted without thinking, landing with a yell as she punched the earth, breaking apart the ground into uneven pieces of rubble, frightening the pack of wolves and sending them scurrying away with their legs tucked between their legs. Tsunade dusted her hands with huff, frowning as she turned to face mother and child, losing her frown when she saw the poor injured creature was scared of her. It's okay, Tsunade whispered in a gentle tone as she approached slowly with one hand raised. The girl hoped the doe would sense she wasn't a threat, and that all she wanted to do was help. After waiting a moment with her hand offered for the injured mother to smell, the doe looked at Tsunade and slowly laid down, making sure to be in a position that didn't disturb her injured leg. The fawn nuzzled into its mother before hesitantly walking to Tsunade, mimicking what its mother did, then nuzzling its own head into the girl's palm. Tsunade cooed at the baby deer, being gentle as she pet the creature before moving on to its mother. Tsunade channeled her ki into an ancient technique passed down by her family for generations, taught to her by her grandfather. Rapidly, the doe's wound started to heal, and in mere seconds, it was as if there wasn't a wound to begin with. The doe nuzzled Tsunade's cheek in thanks before getting up on shaking legs, quickly finding her balance, and then leaving with her fawn. Tsunade watched them go with a sad smile, happy she was able to save a life. Some might say it was insignificant, that it didn't matter, and all she did was delay the pack of wolves for another day. Tsunade didn't see it like that. It was much more personal than that. Shaking away the depressing thoughts, Tsunade continued in her hunt, never noticing Naruto in the sky watching with a smile, dead dragon in hand. The silent boy flew back to the house, leaving the girl to continue hunting at her own pace. Tsunade walked around the forest for a while, until she came upon an area with towering trees and an ominous feel. Tsunade walked into the middle of a clearing, pretending to be unaware of the giant serpent eyeing her from a nearby tree. The blonde ponytail-wearing girl smirked as the snake launched itself at her with its mouth wide, when the time was right, intending to swallow her whole in one bite. The massive serpent didn't see Tsunade disappear in a burst of speed, appearing above its head with her foot drawn high in the air and then brought down in a mighty stomp, crushing the snake's head in a single blow. Tsunade admired her kill with a smile, lifting the titanic boa over her head, then taking to the skies back to her home. Much later, near a roaring fire, Tsunade sat grumbling as it turned out Naruto's dragon was bigger than her snake. She begrudgingly admitted she'd lost the bet, and the two sat next to each other as the meat cooked on a spike. Tsunade glanced at the short boy, raising a bow when she noticed he had his eyes closed, and he seemed to be focused on concentrating his ki in a way Tsunade couldn't even describe. Curious, she asked, "What are you doing?" "I'm working on a technique I made myself," Naruto replied as he opened a single eye, his usual kindness and mischievousness replaced by a gentle but serious gaze. Tsunade couldn't help but be impressed. She gave the scion his deserved praise. "That's pretty incredible. Not many people can create their own techniques, especially at your age. What kind of technique is it? Give me your hand and I'll show you," Naruto said as he held out his hand for Tsunade to place her against. The girl raised a brow at the silent boy but followed his request nonetheless. Tsunade went to press her palm against Naruto's, but found herself unable to do so. Tsunade frowned her brows in thought. She tried to add more strength, but still the results were the same. Even using ki was pointless as her hand stayed in the same place. It was as if no matter how hard she tried, she would never make contact with Naruto's hand. "Is it some kind of barrier?" questioned the older girl, still trying to figure out what exactly Naruto's technique is. "Sorta. It's a super special move I've been working on for a while. I'm calling it Limitless," Naruto declared with a grin, more than proud of himself for the cool name, or so he thought. "So how does it work?" asked Tsunade, still trying to get past the invisible force keeping their hands apart. Naruto sighed, as he used his other hand to scratch the back of his head as he let out a "It's kind of hard to explain, but I think the best way to explain it is that it's basically infinite, I guess." "Huh?" Tsunade said with a slight tilt of her head. "I'm not really stopping you. I'm just slowing your hand so much it doesn't even look like it's moving, but you'll never reach me. This distance between us will always be infinite," Naruto explained, grinning up at Tsunade as he released his technique, letting their hands touch. "Unless I don't want it to be. Heh, I thought you were just some simple monkey boy. I didn't expect you to be so creative," Tsunade complimented the younger boy, rolling her eyes at his happy smile. Hee. Tsunade still felt curious, asking, "Now how did you manage to come up with something like that?" "It came to me in a dream," Naruto said nonchalantly with a shrug. "A dream, huh?" Tsunade replied with a roll of her eyes, but accepted the answer regardless. Her mind chose that moment to remind her of the bet they made and the fact that she lost. "So, a deal is a deal. I'll teach you something I know, but I doubt it'll be as impressive as that Limitless technique," Tsunade stated before asking the scion, "What do you want me to teach you?" "I want to be able to heal people and myself like you do. Teach me that cool healing thing you did," Naruto pleaded for the older girl to mentor him in the arts of healing. Hang on there. That's a very important and ancient healing technique of the Senjus. I can't just teach it to you," Tsunade explained, her face taking a slight hue as she remembered the only other way for someone to learn from her family was by joining her family through a marriage. An old and stupid tradition, Tsunade thought to herself in embarrassment. "Please, Tsunade-sensei," Naruto begged, clasping his hands above his head as his monkey tail slowly moved side to side. "TCH, I can't believe I'm doing this," Tsunade muttered as she dragged a hand down her face with a sigh. Turning to the monkey boy, she poked chest as she said, "If I'm going to teach you, you have to listen to my every word and you can't slack off. Healing might not be as destructive or crazy like other moves, but it's just as important, you got that?" "Yes, ma'am," Naruto replied as he stood up straight, giving a salute much to the older girl's amusement. Tsunade cut off pieces of meat, placing it in small and even pieces with a decent portion of rice and vegetables on a plate. "Good. I'll go bring Grandpa something to eat. I won't be long." "Okay, see you soon," Naruto said as he went back to munching on his roasted dragon leg, briefly stopping to lift his head and say, "I can sense you, you know." Out of the shadow walked Raditz, his chest covered with fresh bandages. The older scion moved to sit next to the young boy, blinking in surprise when said boy offered him the other dragon leg. It was at that moment that Raditz realized he hadn't eaten in days. With a nod of gratitude, Raditz accepted the food offered to him, eating with his fellow scion in silence, or rather momentary silence, as Naruto asked, "I'm glad to see you're feeling better." "You are?" Raditz questioned, after attacking the dragon leg with a hefty bite. Yeah, now I'll be able to learn more about you in the silence. Naruto responded happily, his tail swaying calmly. Raditz stared into the fire with a troubled gaze, his chest in pain, not from his wound but rather guilt. Boy, you wouldn't be helping me if you knew who I was, or what I'd done. Naruto was silent as he studied Raditz, wanting to know what was silently destroying his fellow Scion on the inside. Your kindness is wasted on me. TCH, such a thing shouldn't even be possible for a Scion, but for whatever reason, you and Kakarot. Raditz scoffed as he started to think of his brother. Who's Kakarot? Is that your brother? Naruto asked as he put aside his food, giving his full attention to the older Scion. Kakarot is my brother, but he's also your father. Raditz revealed, glancing at his nephew to see how he would take the news. Naruto's brows scrunched up in confusion. He crossed his arms as he strongly said, My father's name is Son Goku. Raditz scowled as he barked. That is his earthling name. His true name is Kakarot, son of Bardock and Jine. Wait, so that means Dash. Naruto whispered to himself as he realized who the man sitting next to him actually was. That's right, I'm your uncle. Raditz confirmed as he went back to staring at the fire. I've never had an uncle before. Naruto muttered before remembering what the older Scion told him earlier that day. So that brother you were fighting, that was my dad. It was, but why wouldn't I help you? Just because you got into a fight with your brother? Don't brothers fight? Naruto asked, confused on what his uncle could have done that was so bad that it would make him hate him. Raditz growled as he rose to his feet, the weight of the guilt becoming near unbearable as he confessed his sins to his nephew. Because your father died trying to kill me with that Namekian. Do you understand now, boy? Your father is dead because of me. What nothing to say. Aren't you angry at what I've done? Don't you want me to pay? Raditz roared angrily at the child, in a way, expressing his own anger and shame at himself for his failure as a son and an older brother. Yet Naruto didn't attack the older Scion. He didn't go into a fit of rage. He just looked sad. Sad about what happened between his father and Raditz. Sad that he didn't sense the conflict in time and that he wasn't there to change the outcome. You feel bad about what happened. You didn't want to hurt my dad. I can sense it. What would a brat like you know? Raditz whispered as he left Naruto to sit by himself, going back inside the Senju household so he may rest and think over his nephew's words. While the lone Scion sat silently, Tsunade chose that moment to make herself known, asking, Are you okay, HM? Yeah, I'm okay, but I don't think he is. Naruto said sadly, meaning his uncle. Tsunade, not liking the downtrodden look on the usually joyful monkey boy's face, said, Hey, you still want me to teach you? Naruto's emotions made an upward spike as he let out an excited, Yes. What do I gotta do first? Tsunade giggled lightly as she explained. Alright, well first things first, control and mastery of your ki. Tsunade spent the remainder of that night teaching Naruto the basics, impressed that he took to her teachings like a fish in water. When it was morning, Naruto said his goodbyes to both the Senjus and Raditz, promising he would be back. With a burst of silver aura, Naruto was soaring back home towards Jingle Village to go see his mother, and as well grab something special, Game House. It was a gorgeous evening, and on this day, the martial artist Master Roshi sat on the beach that surrounded his home. He was resting under the single palm tree next to his oldest pet and companion, a sea turtle. Both man and creature of the sea sat in content as the sun glistened over the still ocean water, their peace disrupted by the sound of an engine, as one of Capsule Corps' smaller plane designs landed on his island. Hey Roshi, I'm here. What's so important you couldn't tell me over the phone? A woman, a rather attractive one at that, asked as she jumped out of the cockpit of her plane, pressing the side of her vehicle and watching as it shrunk into a couple with a loud boom. Bulma, glad you could make it, Roshi said as he led the woman into his home, offering her some tea as they took a seat at the table. So what is it? Did Krillin and the others become crazy strong in a short amount of time or something? Bulma asked in a random guess, frowning when Roshi shook his head. No, it's nothing like that. While they are training hard, I don't believe they will be enough to defeat the Scions, the old master said honestly. Then what is it? Bulma asked, starting to become slightly impatient as she wondered what this was all about. His name is Dash. Roshi was cut off by a youthful voice calling out to him from outside. Master, I'm back. Roshi chuckled as he stroked his beard in amusement, gesturing for Bulma to follow as he said, Ah, speak of the little devil, and he shall appear. Come, let's go say hello. The heir to Capsule Corp was expecting a lot of things, but a child with blonde hair, a bright familiar grin, and a monkey tail was not one of them. Bulma went slack-jawed as she turned to face the cheekily grinning master, saying, Tell me he isn't. Looks like our boy Goku has been busy, eh? Hey. Naruto was standing proudly in his orange gi that covered his yellow long-sleeve shirt that his mother made for him. His martial artist pants matched the color of his gi, being held tightly in place by a turquoise sash. His boots left footprints in the sand as he walked up to the stunned Bulma, holding out his hand as he unknowingly greeted one of his father's oldest friends. "Son Naruto, it's nice to meet you." Hearing Naruto's name caused Bulma's short-circuiting brain to reboot. The purple-haired woman shook her head to rid herself of the shock, greeting Naruto back with an awkward, "Likewise. So what are we doing today, master? You'll like this, my boy. I'll be teaching you a move that your father learned from me," Rashi declared proudly, finding the boy's excitement infectious. It's been a while since he had a pupil to train. "Really? That's right. Today is the day I teach you the Kamehameha." Rashi walked over to the shore of his island, stabbing his brown cane into the sand as he cupped his hands to his side, slowly starting to chant the name of his most powerful technique as a blue ball of ki appeared between his cupped hands. Rashi bellowed out aloud, "H-A!" as he thrust his hands forward, sending out a clean and flawless ki wave that parted the sea itself. Rashi canceled the power behind his technique, letting the sea fall back to calmness as he turned to face his new pupil, his grin visible even through his beard as he said, "Not bad, eh?" Naruto had stars in his eyes as he whispered, "That was so cool. Now it's your turn. I want you to do what I did. Just follow my movements and believe in yourself." The young scion nodded as he listened to his master's advice. Naruto walked up to where Rashi was standing previously, moving his body, so he was in a similar stance as he cupped his hands by his side. "Do you think he can do it on his first try?" Bulma asked, finding herself feeling a little nostalgic at the sight of Naruto. Rashi nodded confidently, having total faith in Naruto's ability. "If this boy is anything like his father, then I know he will." Naruto had his eyes closed in concentration, breathing in and softly out as he channeled ki between his hands. "Me." Rashi watched eagerly as the island started to take a blue tint from the power of Naruto's charging ki. Even Bulma, a regular human who had no access to ki, was left stunned as she stared in wonder. Water and sand swirled around the silent boy in an intense dance as he continued with his chant. Me." For a moment, to Rashi's stunned eyes, it looked as if Goku's spirit was beside Naruto, his hands cupped next to his son to help him concentrate his energy. Rashi blinked, and what he assumed was the spirit of Goku was gone. All that was left was his son, the hope of Earth until Goku would make his much-needed return. Naruto snapped his eyes open, glowing blue and fierce. The prodigious child released his ki wave with a thrust of his hands, and a roar that reached the heavens themselves. "H-A-A-A!" The sea could not withstand the power of Naruto's ki wave. The wave split apart on almost biblical proportions. Poor Bulma was left stunned as she stared slack-jawed, unable to comprehend what the smiling child had done. Even if his father was capable of similar feats in her youth, it still left poor Bulma baffled every time. "Just how far will you continue to grow, Naruto?" Rashi quietly thought to himself, approaching the young scion to congratulate him and begin their training for the day. Whenever the youth was taking a break from training, he would take the chance to speak with Bulma, asking her all types of questions about his father, listening to her amazing stories about her adventures with him. When Naruto found out there was a plan to wish his father back with the Dragon Balls, a mystical set of 7-starred orbs with the power to summon a great dragon who could grant you one wish, and that wish would be used to bring back Son Goku when the time was right. Now all there was left to do was nothing but train for the rapidly approaching Scion threat. Chapter 2. The Scion's untimely arrival. Exactly 6 months have passed since Naruto found his uncle Raditz and started his training under his new master, Rashi. Naruto was a diligent and hard-working pupil, taking to Master Rashi's lessons like a fish to water. He was a natural-born prodigy when it came to martial arts, and the Kame style seemed only right, considering it was the same form of martial arts that his father used. Naruto had become a near master in all the fighting forms, while the discipline needed to use them effectively was ever growing in the hyperactive boy. Meditation turned out to be surprisingly effective. Once again, the Scion youth surprised the old master with his adaptability to his teachings. Meditation seemed almost second nature to the boy. Was it his simple and joyful nature that made it so easy for Naruto? Or perhaps was it his Scion DNA? Could it be his humanity? Rashi had no clue, but what he did know was that Naruto would continue to grow, surpassing all expectations and going beyond even that. The next generation is truly gifted, it seems. Rashi thought to himself with a smile before calling Naruto over with a simple yell. "Lunch!" Naruto, dressed in his trusty orange and yellow gi, dusted the sand off his hands as he rushed inside the Kame house, drooling at the sight of a grilled fish the size of a man, a fried octopus, a massive sushi platter, and enough rice to feed a family of 12. Naruto's stomach roared in anticipation as the monkey-tailed boy wiped away the drool from his lips, taking a seat at the table and clapping his hands together with a loud shout of "Itadakimasu!" Naruto was ravenous as he devoured the food like a black hole, only stopping to sip juice from a straw before returning to his food like a beast. Rashi shook his head with a chuckle as he silently ate from his plate at a much more civilized pace. Naruto wiped his mouth with the back of his arm as he let out a sigh of content, grinning over at his master as he said, "This is so good! Thanks, Master Roshi. It's no problem, my boy. We need to get you as strong as possible. Roshi's statement had Naruto thinking about the approaching threat and how strong they could possibly be. Hey, Master, the Scions are going to be super tough, right? Naruto asked, putting aside his food so he could focus on his master. Roshi stroked his beard with a hum, saying, That is why every one of my students, your father's friends, are working as hard as they can. We may have greater numbers, but the Scions, if what I was told was true by Piccolo, then they're like nothing we have ever seen before. Naruto let out a sigh as he rested his chin on his palm, brows scrunched up in thought. So the people we have aren't enough. Don't fret, my boy, we have you and your brother. Roshi said absent-mindedly as he took a sip of his own drink, not quite aware of what he said until he turned to look back at Naruto, finding the Scion's jaw agape as he processed the bombshell the old master just let loose. Naruto yelled as he stood up and slammed his hands on the table. I have a brother? Did I forget to mention that? Roshi asked as he rubbed at his bald head sheepishly. Where is he? What does he look like? Naruto asked, his heart racing as he realized he had a brother, an actual brother. He always wanted one of those. Well, you could say you both look very similar except he has your father's dark hair, and he has a tail like you. Roshi's words had Naruto in a daydream as he tried to picture what his brother looked like. And I believe he is currently training with Piccolo. Piccolo, huh? Naruto said as he thought about going to look for his brother, but he put that to the side for the moment as he asked his master a question that had been on his mind for months. Master, do you know if there is a way to heal someone super fast? Why do you ask, my boy? Naruto couldn't reveal it was actually for his uncle, the same man who got his father killed. So he wasn't entirely truthful. Just in case we need it for the upcoming battle. Roshi hummed as he thought of Naruto's words. Well, there are the senzu beans. Just one will bring you back to full strength, and any wound would be healed as if it never existed. The old turtle hermit told his pupil, thinking it wouldn't hurt to maybe send him Korin's way so he may become familiar with the old cat. Perhaps it's time you see Kami's lookout while you're at it. You're definitely more than ready. Then I'll head there right away. Where do I need to go, Master? Naruto asked as he rose to a standing position, rolling his shoulders, and doing some light stretches to make his food go down quicker. To the sacred lands of Korin, a bountiful forest to the west of the desert. There's a grand tower that reaches the sky itself. You can't miss it. Roshi told his pupil, making sure to be detailed as possible so he wouldn't get lost. Right, I'm on my way. Naruto yelled as he ran out of Roshi's home, taking to the skies in a burst of silver, only to return seconds later with a sheepish smile as the silent boy asked. Master, which way is west? Roshi chuckled before pointing in the direction of the west, saying, That way, my boy, I'm on my way. Naruto once again declared as he left Kame House and took to the skies, heading west as he hoped to get a senzu bean for his Uncle Raditz. While he was healing fast, he would be in no condition to help for when the Scions arrive. He needed to be able to fight as soon as possible, and the senzu bean seemed to be the only way to do that. As Naruto flew through the bright blue sky, he started to think of his brother, once again wondering what he looked like, what he sounded like, if he was kind and gentle, or if he was hyper and playful like Naruto himself. Nevertheless, the Scion boy promised himself he would find his brother once he had fully healed his uncle. In a world beyond Earth, the heavens if you will, was a small planet surrounded by endless yellow clouds. On this planet was none other than Son Goku, the father of Naruto and Gohan, training hard by the instruction of his new mentor King Kai. Said Scion was taking a break, breathing heavily as his body was still adjusting to the gravity of King Kai's planet, thanking the monkey Bubbles as he took a towel and wiped his face with it. Goku sighed as he took a seat on the soft grass, staring up at all the yellow clouds with a thoughtful look. Goku was left worried for 6 months. Upon his arrival at King Yama's desk, the warrior of Earth learnt that his brother did not in fact die, and that he was still alive on Earth, but greatly injured and wouldn't be recovering anytime soon without aid. While troubled, Goku still ran along the great and long snake way with the intention of being trained by King Kai, but it wasn't until he finally made it to said God's planet and became his pupil did he find out the reason Raditz survived was because he was found by his son, a son Goku didn't even know about. So with King Kai's help, Goku finally was able to see what his son looked like, and learned his name from simply observing him. The strongest warrior of Earth was surprised by Naruto, especially since his son could see a light in Raditz that Goku could not. The younger son of Bardock thought his older brother was a lost cause, evil just like the Scions that steadily approached Earth, but it seems day by day, Naruto had slowly begun to chip through the shield Raditz had placed around himself, and perhaps could redeem his brother where Goku could not. That was why he hadn't told anyone on Earth that Raditz was alive. While he didn't know Naruto as well as Gohan, that was still his son, and he trusted him. You're doing well, Goku. I'm sure you'll master the Kaioken in no time. King Kai praised his new student as he sipped on some tea, his monkey Bubbles cooing by his side. Goku grinned at the blue-skinned big man, laughing as he said, Thanks, King Kai. I already feel way stronger than how I was back on Earth. King Kai nodded sagely as he took note of Goku's growth and strength. Yes, your growth has been most impressive. You may become my most gifted student. The Kai looked at his pupil with a raised brow, not used to seeing the scion looking so lost in thought. Thinking about your son? Goku let out a sigh as he rested his cheek on his palm, mumbling. I can't believe I didn't know he was out there. Why didn't Suno tell me? Who can say? Perhaps she had her reasons. Perhaps she didn't wish to disrupt your life. King Kai said wisely, as he knew no one could truly know why Suno did what she did but Suno. Maybe, but I'm sure Shishi would have understood. Goku whispered out before his eyes sprung open, leaping to his feet as he held his head in despair. Oh man, Chi-Chi. How am I going to explain this to her? Ha ha ha. I don't envy you, my pupil. From what I heard, your wife can be quite frightening. King Kai accurately deduced, having no idea how frightening Goku's wife could truly be when she was upset. You have no idea, Goku said, scratching the back of his head as he thought of his wife, his sons, his friends who were all surely working hard, and the Scions, who were only half a year away. Just keep working hard, everyone. It won't be much longer before I'm back home. I'm also looking forward to meeting you, Naruto. The son of Goku passed through the vast desert, hand hovering above squinted eyes, as Naruto searched for the forest with the tall tower that his master told him to find. He had been flying for a good hour in his search, the heat of the desert not quite affecting him from this height, but still steadily started to build up a sweat on the Scion youth. Oof, it's hot here, Naruto muttered to himself, his eyes scanning the landscape until he came upon a vast forest, faintly spotting what he hoped was Korin's tower. He landed in a clearing, admiring the tall white pillar with a whistle and a smile, then his attention was drawn to a roaring fire, and where a large hut wasn't too far from. Out from the hut walked a young man, with dark skin and beady eyes. He had his long black hair braided with a red and white feather resting in the back of his hair. It was clear he was a native of these lands. Who goes there? His call drew the attention of a much larger, even more imposing man, who Naruto could only assume was the older boy's father. Yo, the name's son Naruto, nice to meet you. The Scion boy greeted the father and son duo with a wave. The father approached cautiously, asking the monkey-tailed boy, You wouldn't happen to be related to Son Goku? Naruto couldn't help but give a cheeky grin as he scratched the back of his head with an impish grin. Well, he is my father. Ahaha, I should have known with that smile and tail. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Bora, and this is my son Upa. We're friends of your father. The now named Bora greeted as he introduced his son, walking up to Naruto to shake his hand, an action his son mimicked. I didn't realize my dad had so many friends, Naruto said in amazement. Both Bora and Upa smiled fondly as they thought of the spiky-haired boy who dared to fight against the Red Ribbon Army and help Upa bring his father back from the dead. Your dad is a special person with a good heart. You can't help but want to become his friend. Naruto gave a sweet, sincere smile as he gazed up at the sky, quietly saying, I'm starting to realize that. What brings you out here? Questioned Upa, hoping there was a way he could help Naruto. My master sent me to go to Korin's tower and after that, Kami's lookout, Naruto told the father and son as he gestured a thumb at the pillar. Well, you're definitely in the right place. All you have to do is travel up that pillar, and you'll find Korin. Naruto let out a relieved sigh at the native man's words. Awesome, I thought I was in the right place. Sorry I have to go, I'm kind of in a hurry. It was really nice meeting you both, Naruto said as he started to walk towards the white stone structure that was connected to Korin's tower. Good luck, Naruto. Bora wished the Scion boy, waving goodbye with his son as Naruto started to float then took off with a wave of his own. Within minutes, Bora and Pua became nothing but tiny specks on the ground, and still Naruto had yet to reach Korin's tower. It was only after he had passed the clouds, and even then it took 5 more minutes before Naruto finally made it to the oval dome structure that is Korin's tower. Naruto gently floated down onto the floor, looking around with a hum until his eyes settled on a large fluffy cat standing on his hind legs with one arm behind his back, while the other held a stick that was a makeshift cane. Naruto thought the animal was asleep, and because of that he didn't think twice about walking up and petting the white fluffy cat, receiving a bonk on his head for his troubles. Hey, what the hell is the matter with you? You don't go around petting people. The cat, who was clearly Korin, yelled as he was embarrassed at having been petted by the Scion child. Naruto, who was rubbing his head, yelled back. I didn't know you could talk. Try asking next time, Korin said with an exasperated sigh. You're right, I'm sorry. Naruto apologized, sheepish at his own blunder. Don't sweat it, kid. Now, what can I do for you? Korin asked as he couldn't help but think Naruto reminded him of someone. I was sent here by Master Roshi because I was curious about senzu beans, Naruto explained, hoping the old cat would be kind enough to spare him a single bean. I see. So you're curious about senzu beans, huh? Korin asked as led Naruto over to a large pot, opening the lid to reveal it was full of green beans. Naruto wondered how something so small could heal someone instantaneously, but decided not to question it as he told Corinne. Well, I was actually hoping to get one to heal someone. I suppose I can give you one of my senzu beans. Corinne agreed as he stroked his small cat beard. Awesome. Naruto cheered much to the old cat's amusement. But I need you to do a little task for me. Naruto raised a brow at the 800-year-old cat. Sure, what do you need? The silent boy asked, curious what task the feline would have him do. It's such a pain in my backside to get up and down my tower to get food, and I'm feeling a little lazy today. Do you mind getting me a fish from the river down there? You do that, and the senzu's yours. Corinne swore, wondering if the boy would actually do his request. You can count on me, Corinne. I'll be back in a jiffy. Naruto promised as he jumped out of the tower, going into a free fall with a happy yell. That boy! Corinne muttered as he shook his head with a chuckle. River. Naruto found the river with no problem, using his ki to sense life in the water, and found himself surprised with how deep it truly was. The still calmness was a deception to hide the many great beasts swimming in its murky depths. Naruto had folded his gi neatly on a rock so as not to get it wet, leaving him only in a pair of baggy boxers. The scion was already showing outstanding muscle development that shouldn't be possible for a child, but was because of his scion DNA. Naruto did a few little hops before leaping into the water with a medium-sized splash. Naruto traveled into its watery depths without fear, swimming past all the smaller fish as he was looking for something much bigger. Naruto was briefly still as he floated in the water, his hair swaying in the underwater current as he searched for Corinne's meal. The monkey-tailed boy seemed unaware of the monstrous creature slowly drifting towards him with its mouth, filled with rows of spiked teeth, wide open. Yet it was Naruto who surprised the ruler of this river with a sudden turn, grinning devilishly at the massive fish as he launched himself forward and slugged the gigantic creature with a mean uppercut. A gigantic splash was the only warning any nearby creatures would get before a crash shook the area as the titanic tuna lay dead in the small crater its body had created. Naruto burst from the water seconds later, his soaked hair briefly obscuring his vision. The halfling shook his head like a wild dog, using his right hand to push his damp bangs back, staring at his catch with delight. He was sure Corinne was going to be more than happy. The halfling dried himself with a burst of ki, and within seconds, he was back in his trusty gi. Naruto gripped the aquatic beast tightly by its tail fin, silver aura surrounding the boy like an unstoppable flame. Naruto was in the skies within seconds. It didn't take him long to make it back to Corinne's tower, calling out to the fluffy cat. Hey Corinne! Will this do? How are you supposed to fit that in here? Corinne asked, more than impressed by the monkey-tailed boy's catch. Naruto seemed to notice his blunder. The boy let out a little laugh as he said, Whoops! Hang on a second, Corinne! The silent boy flew away from the tower, spinning then throwing the titanic fish upwards. Naruto yelled as he dashed at the falling river creature, cutting the fish into even pieces with high-speed chops of his hand. He then took the deked-up fish and placed it neatly in front of Corinne. How's that? That's more than enough, thank you, kid, Corinne said as he bowed his head. He then surprised Naruto by throwing him the senzu bean. You earned it. Thanks, Corinne. It was nice meeting you, Naruto said as he leapt out of the tower, starting to ascend towards Kami's lookout, stopping when he noticed a long red pole sprouting from the top of Corinne's tower, as if someone placed it there. Naruto couldn't help but reach out and touch what he now identified as a staff, watching in shock as it rapidly shrunk until it was the perfect size for the scion youth. Naruto gave the staff a twirl and then a practice swing, smiling as he thought it felt right to use. Well, I'm definitely gonna keep you. Naruto held the staff tight as he traveled higher and higher into the sky, not quite reaching the upper atmosphere, but still incredibly high. Naruto spotted what could only be described as an ancient red and gold floating platform with a wide flat square tiled surface. Palm trees were planted in elegant rows, currently being watered by a genie with skin as black as night. Wide eyes and a smile full of innocence turned to face the approaching scion, saying, Ah, son Naruto, we have been expecting you. Expecting me? Naruto, as he started to follow the genie to the grand building in the center of the lookout. Indeed, although I didn't think it would be so soon, the genie said, more to himself than Naruto, as he led the silent boy inside, and not before long, the halfling could see a noseless short bald monk, speaking to a tall but old, green alien creature. Kami, son Naruto is here, son? The short monk questioned in disbelief, eyes bulging when he saw the boy's monkey tail and a very familiar staff. Naruto, welcome. Thank you for bringing him, Mr. Popo, Kami said kindly as he walked over to meet Naruto. The monk, still in silent disbelief, walked with the deity of earth, anxious to meet the son of his best friend. Naruto, not one to be rude, greeted them both with a friendly wave and a quick, Yo, so you're Goku's son, huh? The bald monk asked as he rubbed his chin, inspecting the boy with a hum. That's me. Well, it's nice to meet you. I'm your old man's best friend, Krillin. The short man introduced himself with a smile, one Naruto happily returned. You must be super close with my dad, right? Naruto asked as the half-human and full-blooded human moved to sit on some steps as they talked. Definitely. Your dad is probably the most amazing man I've ever met, Krillin said, being completely honest as the boy's father was the reason he was back from the dead after being killed by one of King Piccolo's spawn. Naruto gave a more somber smile as he rested his cheek on his hand, sighing as he said, "That's what everyone keeps telling me." Krillin patted Naruto on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, only 6 more months, and then you'll be able to finally meet him, and I bet he's really looking forward to meeting you too. You think so?" Naruto questioned, hoping what the bald monk was saying was true. "If I know Goku, which I like to think I do very well, he's just as excited as you are," Krillin said confidently, sending the smaller boy a grin as he thought of his oldest friend and how hard he was working in Otherworld. "Hee, I can't wait to meet him." Krillin, wanting to spend some time with the monkey-tailed boy, asked him, "Hey, want to see something cool I've been working on?" "Sure." Naruto agreed eagerly, never wanting to miss the opportunity to see a new technique. "Hey Kami, I'll be back for more training soon," Krillin promised as himself and Naruto started to float, flying away from the lookout to the earthy grounds below. "I'll inform Tenshinhan and the others. Take your time," Kami said as he waved goodbye to the two. After nearly half an hour of flying filled with chatter, mainly Krillin telling Naruto stories of his youth with the boy's father, the two warriors of Earth found a clearing for Krillin to brandish his new move safely. After having Naruto put himself at a safe distance, the blonde boy watched eagerly as the bald monk raised a single hand, manipulating and harnessing his ki to his desire. The ball of ki in his palm started to spin, becoming thin from the continuous motion. The more power Krillin pushed into his attack, the more it expanded. When the ki disc was ready, Krillin tensed his arm, taking aim at a formation of earth that was steadily on its way to becoming a mountain, and shouted the name of his attack with a mighty throw. "Kienzan!" The ki disc soared through the air at impressive speeds, reaching the formation of rock and bisecting the formation of earth and stone like a hot knife through butter. There was no resistance as it was cut in 2 even pieces that crumbled when hitting the ground. Naruto had stars in his eyes, leaping to his feet with a shout. "That was so cool, Krillin!" Krillin couldn't help but appreciate the praise, laughing with his eyes closed as he rubbed the back of his bald head modestly. "Ha ha, thanks Naruto. I've been practicing on that one for a while, but I finally perfected it a couple days ago." "Pretty neat, huh? Could you teach it to me?" Naruto asked, hoping the bald monk wouldn't mind. Krillin did not. In fact, he was quite flattered the little scion wanted to learn from him. "I don't see why not, but don't be discouraged if you don't get it right away." Krillin then directed Naruto where to go, saying, "Here, stand where I was and raise your hand like I did." "You got it, Krillin-sensei." Naruto responded back with a thumbs up. Krillin laughed at the blonde monkey-tailed boy. The fellow martial artist made sure to check Naruto's stance, correcting the boy if he needed it but found there was very little needed to be corrected. Then he said, "What you want to do is generate ki in your palm. Visualize in your mind the form you want your energy to take. Make it flat but sharp." Naruto did as he was instructed, generating his ki and attempting to manipulate it just like Krillin did, but for whatever reason, the scion was struggling. Possibly because he was hungry. Naruto's mind soon drifted away from focusing on his ki and went to food instead. Pizza. Krillin's eyes widened in disbelief as the ki morphed and formed into a rapidly spinning disc just like the one he formed earlier. "Holy crap! Naruto, you did it, huh?" Naruto looked up at his hand, eyes widening as a happy but shocked smile spread across his face as he threw the ki disc at a rock formation, slicing it in half just as Krillin did with his. Krillin's disbelief shifted into awe and pride, and maybe a little envy as he thought, "Geez, it took me 6 months to master that move, and you did it on your first try. Heh, you're definitely Goku's son." "So cool! I really appreciate you teaching me, Krillin. Think nothing of it. I've never really taught anyone before," Krillin said as he started to float in the air. "Sorry to run like this, Naruto, but I gotta get back to my training with the others. I'll see you when the Scions arrive, you know it," Naruto promised with a salute and a cheeky grin, a grin Krillin couldn't help but match as he waved goodbye. "Take care of yourself, kid. Bye, Krillin," Naruto yelled as he waved goodbye to the short monk. Having enjoyed the brief time they spent together, Naruto too started to fly, in a burst of silver, traveled across the sky in the direction of his home to go gather some money. "I'll bring Uncle Raditz a surprise." The brother of Kakarot rested silently in his bed. It was all he could do as he slowly healed. The wound that damned Namekian had given to him was so grave that it seemed it would take perhaps another year before he was whole and in proper fighting condition. It was maddening for the scion as he grunted, rising to a sitting position as he glanced towards the door. "I can sense you, boy." Naruto peeked his head into the room with a sheepish grin, holding 2 large white boxes. "You're getting good at sensing energy, Uncle Raditz." Raditz grunted in annoyance as he accepted the flat white square box with a rather appetizing aroma. "TCH, I don't have a scouter anymore, and I can't do anything without injuring myself." It's the only thing I can do to keep busy. That does sound like a pain, but I know what will make you feel better. Naruto started to lift the top of the box containing Raditz' delicious food. Pizza! Raditz looked intrigued by the different types of meat, the melted cheese, and all the different toppings that it couldn't help but make his mouth water. Is this an Earthling dish, Mum? One of Earth's best foods, right after noodles of course. Naruto told his uncle, as he shoved nearly an entire slice of pizza into his mouth. Raditz found himself agreeing and found himself thinking that it was possibly the best thing he had ever eaten. The Earthlings aren't much, but the food is exquisite. I knew you would like it, Naruto said with a grin as he grabbed his third large slice. The two ate in silence. Naruto was thinking that even though his uncle wouldn't admit it, he had started to grow on the older Scion, slowly winning him over. Naruto put aside his food as he crossed his arms, becoming serious, something Raditz had never seen before. Hey uncle, if I said I had something that could heal you instantly, would you take it? What kind of question is that? Raditz asked with a scoff, shaking his head as he nearly finished his food. Naruto gave an exasperated sigh as he lightly glared at his uncle. Just answer the question, Raditz grunted as he looked away from his nephew, muttering. I suppose I would. Naruto smiled as he reached into his sash, where he placed the Senzaku ring gave him earlier, holding it out for Raditz to take. Then here, eat this. Raditz gave Naruto a questioned look as he took the tiny green bean, asking, what the hell is this? It'll make you all better. Trust me. For better or for worse, Raditz did trust the little Scion. The boy had saved his life when he didn't have to. He continued to show him kindness even after learning about what happened to his father and his personal hand in it all. He owed Naruto a debt, and he knew that, so he took the senzu and ate it. It was miraculous, as he felt all his wounds and aches heal instantly just as Naruto had promised. Raditz had never felt stronger as he flexed his muscles, grinning as he was sure his power had grown 3 times in size. He had never felt more powerful in all his life. Much better, right? Thank you, Naruto. Truly. That was the first time Naruto had ever heard Raditz use his name. The boy couldn't stop grinning even if he wanted to. Tsunade chose that moment to enter the room, finding herself baffled when she saw Raditz was throwing punches, rolling his shoulder and moving in ways that shouldn't be possible for a man in his previous condition. Wow. Naruto, what's going on? We'll tell you later, Tsunade. Come on, Uncle Raditz, let's go flying. Naruto cheered as he leapt out the window, leaving the high ponytail girl to stand there stunned as the boy's uncle followed suit. The two Scions soared through the cloudless sky. The night was shimmering with stars. It gave Raditz a chance to see some of Earth's beauty. So why have you brought me up here, boy? The older Scion questioned as he crossed his arms. Because I wanted to speak to you, Scion to Scion, Naruto said, catching his uncle's attention. The usually playful boy became more serious as he pointed out. Your friends are coming to Earth. Raditz grunted as he looked away, muttering. They're not my friends. Naruto wouldn't let the issue be dismissed so easily as he continued. Still, they're making their way here, and you know just like I do what they will do when they finally arrive. Raditz grew more frustrated at the second as he knew what Naruto wanted to ask, but was hesitant to do, growling out. Just spit it out and say what you want to say, boy. I want you to fight with me when they arrive. Naruto made it sound simple, but to Raditz it was anything but. Fight them? Perhaps we could take out Nappa but Vegeta? He'd slaughter us both and anyone who dares to stand up against him. Raditz knew how his fellow Scions thought, how cruel they were, not just to their enemies, but even their own comrades. I don't care if he's the strongest Scion that has ever lived. I won't let them destroy my home, and I want you to be there, or does your honor as a Scion mean nothing to you? Naruto asked, waiting to see how his uncle would respond and hoping that he would make the right choice. Damn brat, Raditz whispered as he clenched his fists tight. If this was mere months ago, when he first met the boy, then he would have scoffed and tried to fight the boy for his arrogance, but this was now. As much as he hated to admit it, he had grown fond of Naruto. Fine. They would probably kill me anyway for desertion. Hee, thanks Uncle Raditz. The monkey-tailed boy said as he gave his uncle his signature grin. Yet that same grin took on a more serious undertone as his nephew continued. Oh, and uncle, if you ever think about betraying us. A flare of his power had the older Scion trembling in realization. He had no idea how vast the difference between their strengths was until now, and Raditz knew that this wasn't a threat, but a warning from one Scion to another. I won't be happy. It can't be. Is he nearly as strong as Vegeta? Raditz thought nervously to himself as a bead of sweat rolled down the side of his cheek. He never planned on betraying Naruto, but this only cemented his loyalty and actually impressed the older Scion. If he was honest, he didn't know the boy had it in him. Raditz spoke honestly as he said, I owe you a debt, kid, and I'm going to honor it. I swear I will fight by your side, Naruto. Naruto seemed to search Raditz's eyes for a moment, becoming kind when they found what they were searching for. I know you will, uncle. Much more wasn't said after that. Only a challenge for a spar, a challenge Naruto happily accepted. The monkey-tailed boy fought his uncle well throughout the night, awakening Raditz' desire to train and become stronger just like his nephew. Another month had gone by, and during that time, Naruto and Raditz had trained near non-stop, only putting aside training for when Naruto had his lessons with Master Roshi, or for when Naruto would ask Raditz to tell him stories about the Saiyans, about Planet Vegeta, and about his grandparents. While the older Saiyan was young when his home was destroyed, he still had many fond memories of the beautiful and kind woman his mother was. How strong and fierce his father always seemed. His determination and spirit, a Saiyan Raditz always inspired to be, but felt he came short in comparison. An inferiority complex that the man was steadily overcoming. Naruto had even brought his uncle over to meet his family, introducing his mother and Aider to the older Saiyan, who they welcomed with open arms, and a feast for the two Saiyans. When Naruto wasn't spending time with his uncle or training with his master, he was talking and learning the arts of healing with Tsunade, becoming closer with the sassy girl and her kind grandfather. But today Naruto wasn't with any of the people he would consider precious. Today he was by himself in the green plains of his favorite hunting ground, staring up at the cloudy sky with a lazy smile, enjoying the peace of the land and the serenity that came with it. Boom, or rather he was, until a heavy rumble disturbed Naruto's peace. The monkey-tailed boy leapt to his feet and followed the source of the disturbance, not taking too long before he found a rocky plain destroyed and disrupted from an intense battle or possibly an intense training session. Naruto moved his head to the side as a stray ki blast went soaring past his cheek. It didn't seem it was aimed directly at him, but rather batted away by a boy in a purple gi with long spiky black hair. The boy couldn't be less than a year younger than Naruto. He looked exhausted, but even so, he fought like his life depended on it, and given how ferocious the green alien warrior, who could only be Piccolo Jr., was fighting the boy, he would likely need a break soon. "I know you're there," Piccolo called out to the monkey-tailed boy, moving to stand in front of Goku's youngest child, Gohan. Naruto rolled his eyes as he gently touched down on the ground, saying, "I wasn't exactly trying to hide, you know? Who are you? Are you one of those Saiyans?" Piccolo kept himself on guard, moving to stand in front of Gohan, just in case the boy tried something. Naruto tried to de-escalate the quickly growing conflict, keeping his hands slightly raised to show he didn't mean any harm. "Well, I am a Saiyan, but I was born here on Earth. My name is Dash." But unfortunately for the monkey-tailed boy, his uncle chose a horrible moment to make a surprise arrival. "Naruto, I've been looking for you everywhere, boy." "No, it can't be," Piccolo whispered, eyes widening in horror. Gohan seemed to be paralyzed by fear at the sight of the man who kidnapped him and fought his father. "How the hell are you still alive?" "Nice to see you too, Namekian." Raditz grunted with a scowl, the scar on his chest a constant reminder of his brush with death, and the one who honored him with such a terrible wound. The older Saiyan couldn't help but take a jab at the green warrior. "Looks like your arm grew back. I wonder if it will grow back a second time. Why don't you come over here and find out, stupid?" Piccolo growled as he flared his ki, startling his pupil. "Whoa, whoa, whoa! There's no need to kill one another!" Naruto yelled as he got between Raditz and Piccolo, holding his hands out to keep the two separated. "I guess you're the guy who nearly made Uncle Raditz bite the dust, huh, Uncle?" Piccolo muttered as he stared at Naruto with a confused frown, his eyes briefly glancing to Gohan, then back at Naruto, narrowing as he asked, "Who are you? Feels like I've been introducing myself a lot lately." Naruto joked, hoping to break the tension, but given the green man's stern face, he failed poorly. Naruto let out a sigh before straightening his back and introduced himself proudly. "The name's Son Naruto, and if I had to guess, you guys are getting ready for the Saiyan invasion, am I right?" "Your last name is Son?" Gohan asked, speaking up for the first time. Naruto turned his attention to the smaller boy, giving him a smile that he couldn't help but mimic. "Yep. And if I had to guess, your name is Gohan." "Why, yeah," Gohan said timidly, wondering how this boy knew his name. Naruto's smile was sweet and gentle as he walked towards his brother. "I've been really looking forward to meeting you. I'm your older brother, Naruto." "Really? You're my big brother?" Gohan couldn't believe it, but somehow, he felt a connection to his fellow Saiyan. It was as if his instincts or maybe even his heart were telling him everything Naruto was saying was true. "Pretty crazy, right?" Naruto asked with a laugh. Piccolo was quick to show his distrust as he said, "Hang on, how do we know this isn't some trick?" Raditz felt offended on his nephew's behalf, growling out, "Question my honor all you want, but don't doubt the boy. He has no reason to lie. I have no reason to trust you, Saiyan." Piccolo snarled, crossing his arms, as he felt like he should just take Gohan and leave. Naruto felt like they weren't getting anywhere, especially with the way his uncle and Piccolo were acting, and the little Saiyan felt like he might have an idea to help them get over their issues. "You guys should fight." Raditz and Piccolo glanced at one another, then at Naruto, with his uncle asking, "What are you getting at?" Naruto shrugged, thinking it was all quite simple as he explained. "There's too much tension. Just fight, and get over whatever issues you guys still have. Otherwise, how are we going to work together to take out the Saiyans?" "I'm game if you are, unless you're scared, Namekian." Raditz spoke first, offering the challenge and waiting to see if Piccolo would reciprocate. "TCH, I'll make you eat those words," Piccolo promised as he floated into the air, quickly followed by the older Saiyan. Naruto and Gohan moved to go sit on some rocks to watch the fight, but also to talk and get to know one another better. Raditz and Piccolo both wasted little time before powering up to their full power. The Namekian was left a little disappointed and slightly infuriated to find the Saiyan's power was slightly greater than his own, but that didn't mean the battle was decided. Far from it. Piccolo roared as he soared at Raditz, throwing out a high knee that was perfectly blocked, but Piccolo wasn't going to allow that to stop his ferocious assault. He went for a heavy elbow downwards, but Raditz was quick enough to get out the way, but responded with a punch of his own that the Namekian warrior blocked with his arm. Piccolo showed quick thinking as he slammed a ball full of ki into Raditz's chest, sending the Saiyan spiraling backwards, but he managed to stop himself with a yell before immediately charging forward, nailing Piccolo in the stomach with a deathly gut punch. Piccolo's pupils briefly shrank as spittle left his mouth, but this mighty warrior persevered through the pain and reached out with both hands to snag the Saiyan by his long spiky locks and bashed his knee aggressively into Raditz's face. Gah! This temporary moment of stillness provided Piccolo with an opening. Right hook, right hook again, and a multitude of guts punches as payback, but Piccolo refused to end it there. No, he delivered a high kick to Raditz's chin, a kick so powerful that it sent Raditz flying into a pile of rocks. Ha! Piccolo threw his hand forward as he fired a Masenko packed with a decent amount of power at the rock-covered Saiyan, causing a blast that briefly illuminated the area yellow. When the rubble fell and the smoke cleared, Raditz was traveled to be completely unharmed bar the brief trickle of blood trailing down his chin. "So you have grown stronger. I was worried you were just as weak as before," Raditz said, giving the Namekian a backhanded compliment as he strolled towards Piccolo, rolling his shoulder to smooth out any knots. Piccolo didn't let his anger overtake him. He knew that was what Raditz wanted. The green alien warrior charged forward, fist drawn back as he made it clear he intended to win this spar. "Cocky stupid, don't think this battle is over before it even started." Raditz blocked Piccolo's punch and then responded with an elbow to the chin, dazing Piccolo briefly, but long enough for Raditz to grab the green warrior by his arm tight and throw him over his shoulder. Piccolo skidded across the ground like a stone until he made himself stop, lifting his head just in time to see twin purple ki blasts were quickly approaching his still form. Thinking and acting quickly, Piccolo fired a ki wave at the ground to send himself flying into the air, dodging Raditz's double sundae by the skin of his teeth. A flare of his instinct saved Piccolo from a nasty kick to the back of his head, eyes narrowed as he attacked Raditz back in retaliation. An epic dance of kicks and punches were exchanged between the two while Naruto and Gohan continued to talk. Naruto, who had been telling his little brother about his home and his family, finished talking by saying, "And I'll have to introduce you to my mom and Ader. I know they'd love to meet you. I'd like to meet them too." Gohan replied, trying to picture the snowy land that was Naruto's home. "But it's pretty cold where I live, so we'd probably have to pack you a jacket," Naruto said, thinking out loud, not caring as the area shook from Raditz and Piccolo's latest clash. "I've never seen snow before," Gohan muttered, having spent all his life in a warmer climate near the mountain. "It's everywhere, and there's tons of games we can play, and we can even build a massive snowman together," Naruto promised, feeling his heart swell when he saw his little brother's eyes lit up in excitement. "That sounds like a lot of fun. Hee, I knew you'd like that idea. We're going to have so much fun together when we beat the Saiyan, and the best part is Dad will be there with us." Naruto could already picture it now. They'd go hunting, fishing, camping, and spend time together like a proper family. It would be a dream come true. "I can't wait, big bro," Gohan told Naruto with a grin, laughing when the older blonde tousled his long spiky locks. "I can't either," Naruto said as he turned his attention back to the fight, watching just in time as Raditz smacked Piccolo back to the ground with a double axe handle, giving chase as held one hand cupped by his side, generating tremendous power into a sparking pink ki blast. "Let's see how you handle this." Once the ki blast left his hand, it grew rapidly in size, nearly dwarfing Piccolo as it drew closer and closer until it seemed as if it swallowed Piccolo whole, but the Namekian was stubborn as he was tenacious by flying over the attack. Faint whips of ki burnt part of his GI, but still he dodged the dangerous attack. Piccolo surprised Raditz by extending his arms at lengths the older Saiyan didn't know was possible. He was too surprised to act and found himself constricted in the Namekian's boa-like grip, struggling to breath as Piccolo started to swing his whole body and therefore Raditz as well to the ground, sending Raditz into a crater, but Piccolo didn't seem satisfied to let it end there, charging ki into his hands as he unleashed a barrage of ki blasts that destroyed the landscape, panting as he waited to see what Raditz would do next. "Filthy slug!" Raditz roared as he charged at the green alien warrior. He became shrouded in purple ki. His left arm was held straight as it led the charge. Raditz growled as he gathered ki to his right hand, the fist clenched so tight, his knuckles went white from the pressure. Piccolo waited until Raditz was just about to hit him, and then dodged last minute, but not before shoving a key blast into the Saiyan man's face, more in an act to temporarily blind rather than hurt. Piccolo succeeded in his endeavor, leaving Raditz to yell angrily as he clutched at his face, growling as all he could see was a white light. Naruto watched with a frown as Piccolo quickly landed on the ground, glaring at his uncle as he brought 2 fingers to his forehead, a vein bulging near as he startled to generate ki, his power spiking as he charged his ultimate technique. The flaring nature of Piccolo's ki was a perfect beacon for Raditz to lock onto even while blinded. He charged recklessly towards Piccolo as his vision started to clear, unaware of the danger that was near. Piccolo had finished charging his technique. He planted his feet and took aim, baring his teeth as he roared the name of his technique. Makankasapo! A thin yellow ki beam followed by a second stream of purple ki coiling around the yellow beam like a snake. The deathly technique that nearly had Raditz on death's door was rapidly approaching, and as for Saiyan and his clearing vision, he could do nothing but float, frozen in the air by his own fear. Naruto could sense his uncle wasn't going to be able to dodge the deathly technique in time, so in a burst of speed that no one in the area could hope to follow, appeared in front of his paralyzed uncle and held his hand out, eyes glowing as he activated the power of Limitless, and used the technique of his own creation to form a barrier with infinity. The powerful and deadly Makankasapo drilled against infinity, creating sparks that illuminated Naruto's frowning face. The Silence Boy couldn't help but show off his power, as he flung the drilling beam into the sky and steadily out of Earth's atmosphere. Naruto spoke directly to Piccolo as he said, "This is just a spar. There's no need for moves like that." Yet Piccolo couldn't speak, too stunned by what he could sense. Naruto's power was immense. He only felt what truly lay hidden for a moment, but that moment was long enough for him to realize Naruto was stronger than himself and Raditz combined. What kind of monster is he? Naruto, seeing Piccolo was currently thinking to himself, turned to his uncle, asking, "You feel better now? As long as the Namekian doesn't get in my way, I'll be fine." Raditz muttered as he followed Naruto, who was walking towards the quietly speaking master and pupil. "Well, I guess that's a good start," Naruto said to his uncle before turning his attention to his younger sibling with a grin. "Man, a good spar always makes me hungry. Are you hungry, Gohan?" "Yeah," Gohan answered quickly as his belly started to rumble viciously. "Then let's go hunting, little brother." Naruto cheered as he started to run in a random direction with Gohan quickly following behind. "Wait for me, Naruto." Raditz watched the scene with crossed arms and a faint smile, wondering to himself if things had been different. If Planet Vegeta never blew up, could that have been Kakarot and himself in another life? Foolish thinking perhaps, but something to consider all the same. "Hey!" Piccolo called out to the older Saiyan, glaring as he made it clear. "I don't know what you're planning, but if you try to betray us on the day the Saiyans arrive, I'll kill you myself." With that all said, Piccolo flew after the Saiyan brothers, not sparing Raditz a second glance. Raditz didn't give him a response as he too flew after his nephews. He understood why the Namekian warrior said what he said, and that made the older Saiyan even more determined to prove himself different to the Saiyan he once was. For Naruto's sake, for months came as quickly as they passed, and during that time, Naruto, Gohan, Raditz and Piccolo trained every day, all day, from sunrise to sunset, and all of them had grown much stronger for it. But it wasn't just their strength that had grown, but in a sense, their camaraderie. No longer did Piccolo have suspicions regarding their intentions when it came to Earth, but that didn't mean the Namekian had any positive feelings when it came to Raditz. He just trusted him enough not to stab him in the back. Naruto, on the other hand, had found a way to place himself on a list of people that Piccolo actually liked, and considering that the other person was his brother was actually saying something. There was just something about Naruto that drew people in, making them want to be the little Saiyan's friend. Perhaps it was his strength or even his kind-hearted nature that he inherited from his father, but regardless, Naruto was special. But that wasn't to say Naruto was the only one to win someone over. Gohan made great progress in the many months he spent with his uncle to get over his previous fear of the man, showing Naruto wasn't the only one to inherit Kakarot's kind heart. It was a work in progress, but steadily Raditz was forming a strong bond with his other nephew, becoming quite attached to them both. But alas, such peaceful times were never meant to last as something unforeseen happened. The Silents were set to arrive a month earlier than expected, and it was only thanks to King Kai's timely warning that Rashi and Bulma were able to gather all the Dragon Balls and have them on standby to summon Goku. The Z warriors felt the approaching threat as 2 space pods, similar to the one Raditz used to arrive on Earth, breached the atmosphere, falling across the sky like 2 heavy comets waiting to impact the ground. They soared into the heavy populated and thriving community that is East City. The Scion pod showed how strong they truly were as they barreled through buildings like paper, killing thousands upon thousands by simply landing. Craters were formed from the impact of their ships, and the innocent humans of Earth could do nothing but stand and stare in fear as the pod slowly opened. The first one to greet the humans could only be described as a menacing bald giant. His black eyes scanned the crowd with an evil sneer. The second scion to emerge was much shorter than his titanic companion, but what he lacked in stature, he made up for with presentation. His mere presence has many falling to their knees, turning white and sickly from his power alone. His tall spikes of black hair blew in the wind as he let out a wicked chuckle. So this is Earth? Promising. Hey Vegeta, let's give these insects a little show. All it took was a flick of the giant's fingers, and then East City was no more. Gone in a blink of an eye. It was a shuddering thought to realize the terror of the Scions had only just begun. Chapter 3. The triumphant return of Son Goku. With the way the sun was shining down from a cloudless sky, you would think that today was going to be a pleasant and beautiful day, or at least that was what Naruto, wearing his orange and yellow gi, thought as he was once again at the Senju household with his uncle. But it wasn't just the older scion that had joined him on his visit. His little brother Gohan was by his side, chin slightly red, as he was munching on a slice of watermelon many would think was far too large for the little lad. Yet there was something different about Gohan. It was a simple but significant change. The youngest son of Goku had grown his tail back, an incident that had occurred weeks ago. Piccolo had made to cut it off again, but was halted at the protest of both Naruto and Raditz, who managed to convince the Namekian it was a good idea to keep it, and there was no threat of Gohan changing as Piccolo had destroyed the moon many months ago. So the Namekian dropped the matter. Naruto had his own watermelon in hand, munching away happily, as he used his tail to make sure the power pole was properly secured on his back. Whipping his mouth, he started talking with the older blonde girl. I think I've gotten a lot better with my healing. What do you think, Tsunade? Naruto questioned the older girl. Tsunade made a him-type sound as she was honest with the scion boy. You still got a long way to go before you can become as good a healer as me and Grandpa, but I definitely see improvement. Naruto sighed as he put aside his watermelon, staring up at the sky as he muttered. I'm not used to things being so tricky. Not even you can get everything on your first try. Tsunade told the monkey-tailed boy as she lightly booped him on the nose with her finger as she said. Just be patient. Naruto gave his nose a twitch before sending his usual grin at the older girl. I'm sure with your help, I'll be the greatest healer in no time. Well, of course, you're learning from the best after all. Tsunade said with pride in both her and her grandfather's skill in the healing arts. However, it was at this given time the Scions chose to make their timely appearance in East City, and turn the population to nothing but dust. And no, it can't be. Piccolo was the first one to sense the devastation, becoming rigid and alert as he yelled. They're here early, so soon. Raditz muttered, feeling a brief inkling of fear. The Scion man stomped the feeling down into a deep pit. He would not let his emotions rule him today, especially when his nephew was counting on him. Naruto frowned, looking towards the direction of East City. He couldn't sense any life bar the two massive power levels heading towards this direction. Not wanting Tsunade or Hashirama to be caught in the crossfire, the Scion boy knew it was for the best if they flew elsewhere and took the danger with them. Looks like we gotta go. I'll see you later, Tsunade. Tsunade seemed to understand what was to come, given the troubled look on her face. She called out to her favorite monkey-tailed boy specifically. Be careful, Naruto. Naruto, the ever-confident and cocky lad, just simply turned to give Tsunade a grin and a thumbs up. You don't have to worry about me. I'm Dash, the strongest. The human girl finished for the Scion boy. Tsunade walked up to Naruto, causing him to have to crane his neck so he could stare into her eyes. I still want you to take care of yourself. Otherwise, I'll have to find a new pupil. I promise I will. Tsunade accepted his words, but she still felt she should do something to wish him luck for the fight he was about to undertake. That was when she remembered something her grandmother would do for her whenever she wished Tsunade luck or calmed the girl when there was a brewing storm. Tsunade stunned Naruto, his brother, Piccolo, and especially his uncle when she placed her lips on Naruto's forehead, an intimate act that just felt right at this given moment. Stay safe. Naruto watched Tsunade walk away with rosy cheeks and wide eyes, his tail swinging in confusion. I guess the girl does have a soft spot after all. Raditz noted in amusement, waiting for his nephew to respond. Naruto turned to face Gohan, Raditz, and Piccolo, showing the group his large cheesy smile. Let's go kick some Scion, but the 4Z warriors rocketed through the sky, heading towards a faraway rock-infested grassy clearing, where 4 figures stood silently, waiting for the Scion threat to arrive. Naruto instantly recognized Krillin, waving as he called out to the bald monk. Hey Krillin, Naruto, it's good to see ya. Krillin yelled as he waved back, not noticing Raditz until the group got closer. Wha? I thought he was dead? Sorry to disappoint you. Raditz muttered, crossing his arms as he ignored the glare being sent his way by Tien and Yamcha. Don't worry, Mr. Krillin. Uncle Raditz is a good guy now. Gohan promised the shaken warrior, truly believing his uncle had changed for the better. Krillin shared a concerned look with his fellow Earthlings before he turned his attention to the silent child, asking, Are you sure, Gohan? Yeah, you can trust him. Gohan said confidently, not seeing his uncle's small smile of gratitude. Well, if you say so. Krillin glanced at Raditz, giving a nervous smile as Tien and Yamcha moved to stand in front of the Saiyan brothers, interested in meeting their friends' children. So you're Goku's boys? Tien questioned before crossing his arms, giving a nod of acknowledgement. It's an honor to fight by your side. Likewise, Naruto said, trying not to be rude by staring at Tien's third eye. Don't worry, little dudes. If things get a little crazy, just stick by us. The scarred man hoped his words would be comforting for the little Saiyans, having no idea how truly powerful they were. Don't worry, we've been working hard for months. We can handle whatever they throw at us. Right, Gohan? Naruto asked his little brother, getting a grin in response. Right. But what joyful times that could be had in their given situation was soon dashed away as the intense and evil presence of the Saiyan warriors enveloped the area. Nappa landed with a crash, creating a smoke screen of dust. When the dust cleared, it showed the giant Saiyan smirking in their direction as he patted down his armor. You were right, Vegeta. They were all here waiting for us. Nappa called out to his prince and superior, cracking his knuckles as he stared at the Z warriors ravenously until he spotted his fellow full-blooded Saiyan. Not trying to hide, traitor? What? Managed to grow a spine in the month you were hiding? Naruto glanced towards his silent uncle. He could see it was taking everything in his power not to lash out and charge recklessly against one of his oldest tormentors, but the line of restraint was drawing thin, and it was a gamble of how much more it could take. Hey, I'm talking to you, you pathetic little weakling. Answer me! Nappa roared, smirking as he knew he had succeeded in agitating his fellow Saiyan. Vegeta watched the display with amusement, arms crossed as he awaited to see the outcome. Mouth. Raditz's words were so quiet no one could hear them, but his viable shakes and twitches of rage had everyone in proximity concerned. What was that? The mountain of a Saiyan questioned, holding a hand to his ear in a mocking manner. I said? Raditz sprang from his spot in a burst of speed, far too fast for Nappa to have any hope of reacting or retaliating in time. Raditz pulled his arm back for a mighty punch packed with ki, eyes wide with fury as he roared. Shut your foul mouth! Wham! Blood flew from Nappa's mouth as he was sent crashing into an earth pillar, stunned from what just happened. Vegeta was staring in intrigue, arms uncrossed as one hand reached up to press a button on his scouter. 4,752? Surely the scouter must be broken, unless… D-damn scum! Nappa growled out as he wiped the blood off his chin with the back of his hand, his cheek already starting to bruise and swell, but it was his ego and pride that was wounded the most. Raditz was panting from adrenaline. His hand felt numb, and it actually stung, but it also felt good, a promise of what was yet to come. Nappa went to charge, but was halted by Vegeta's voice. Take it easy, Nappa. They can suppress their power levels. Impressive, but ultimately still useless. Now tell me, where are the Namekian wish orbs, or as you call them, the Dragon Balls, like we'd ever tell you? Piccolo growled out, annoyed at Raditz for giving away one of their advantages so early. You're going to be difficult? Good. Vegeta said evilly as he moved to sit on a nearby rock, calling out to his subordinate. Nappa, don't we have some Cybermen left? I'm sure there'll be enough to loosen their lips. Huh? Oh yeah, you're right, Vegeta. Hey, let's see how you vermin like this. Nappa reached into his armor, where he kept a small clear capsule. One half of it was filled with green seeds, and the other half an even darker liquid that would do who knows what. Yamcha, Tien and Krillin tried to stop Nappa, but a flare of Vegeta's power had them frozen in place. The malice, the intensity, the uncontrolled evil. Vegeta was a monster of his own. Poor Gohan moved to stand closer next to his big brother. Even Piccolo and Raditz were not spared from being slightly shaken, but Naruto? He smiled and locked eyes with Vegeta. This baffled the Saiyan prince. A child wanted to face him? The mighty prince of the Saiyans? It was almost laughable in its absurdity, and yet, something in the boy's eyes promised a challenge. Nappa had planted the green seeds and poured a growth serum to hasten the process. Nappa didn't have to wait long before 6 green monstrosities burst from the ground screeching in horrific excitement. It was hard to describe them, but short mutated plant men seemed to be the easiest description. Red eyes were fixated on Z warriors, just waiting for the order to attack from their Saiyan masters. Tien stepped forward, pressing his knuckles against one another with a confident smile as he told his group, I'll be going first. Have at it, buddy, but save some for the rest of us. Yamcha called out to one of his oldest friends, looking forward to seeing how much Tien had improved over their year of training. One of the creatures, a Cyberman, looked over at Vegeta for permission. Once it had it, it charged with a yell, and its 3 clawed hands spread wide. Tien didn't seem fazed as he thrust his palm forward, sending a key shockwave that knocked the mutated plant off balance, leaving it vulnerable for a sharp elbow to the face. The Cyberman growled, eyes wide and crazed. The seam that ran down the middle of its head split apart and outshot a concentrated burst of acid in a disgusting projectile. The 3-eyed man simply moved his body to the side, as he glared at the disgrace against nature, uncaring how the ground behind him steadily started to melt away. Teen Shinhan appeared in front of the Cyberman before it could launch another burst of acid at him. He kicked the green monstrosity hard in the head, sending it skidding into the dirt in front of its Scion masters. Vegeta watched as it managed to get back on its feet, glancing at him fearfully, and it was right to fear him, as the Scion Prince pointed 2 fingers at the Cyberman, uncaring that he ended its life in an instant. Its brains and entrails were spilled everywhere. The Z-Warriors were stunned by Vegeta's savagery and cruelty. Even Nappa was taken by surprise by the shocking display. Vegeta, why did you do that? Nappa asked, looking towards the shorter but far stronger Scion in concern. He was already beaten. Letting it continue would have been a waste of time, Vegeta informed the giant before he turned his menacing gaze to the remaining Cybermen, scowling as he said, I told your comrade to go all out, did I not? Do not underestimate them, or you shall share the same fate. Go get him, boys. Hit him with everything you got. Nappa ordered his Cybermen, watching with glee as they charged with reckless abandon, preferring to die to an enemy rather than their cruel Scion masters. Leave it to me, Yamcha yelled as he rushed towards the danger with a grin on his face, confident in his own skill. Yamcha, wait! Krillin went to give chase after his reckless companion, aware that Teen Shinhan was not too far behind. Rah! Yamcha was relentless with his assault, easily outclassing the Cyberman with his pure combat skill alone. The green creature tried to flee up a small rock formation. Yamcha gave chase with a smirk, thinking he had the little monster on the run, but the Cyberman proved to be crafty as it suddenly turned to face the scarred human, leaping from the rock with its arms spread wide. But the student of Rashi was too fast, appearing behind the Cyberman while at the same time unleashing a Kamehameha that struck dead on. Yamcha looked down proudly as the little monster laid in a crater, seemingly dead and defeated. Gently landing on the ground, Yamcha turned to face his friends with a grin. One down, only 4 more to go. You guys might as well stay back. I can handle this all by myself. Krillin, however, noticed that the Cyberman wasn't quite dead and tried to warn his friend before it was too late. Yamcha, behind you. Huh? Was all he managed to mutter before his arms were restrained tightly to his by the Cyberman's narrow and unbreakable grip. The Cyberman smirked into Yamcha's stunned face as it started to glow, using the last of its remaining energy to take itself and its enemy out in a desperate suicidal explosion. Boom! Yamcha, no! Krillin whispered in despair, gritting his teeth as he closed his eyes. He couldn't bear to look. Raditz cursed himself for forgetting what the Cyberman would do in such a no-win scenario and not warning the man in time. Tien, being the nearest to Yamcha, felt responsible, that if he was just a little bit faster then he could have done something to change this horrible outcome. That really stung. I gotta learn not to be so careless. The smoke cleared to show Yamcha was completely unharmed bar his GI being slightly torn and dirty. His long black hair was scuffed and more than a few bruises were scattered along his form, but he was alive and ready to keep fighting. You're okay, Krillin cheered, relieved and feeling hopeful that they could win this without the cost of losing a member of their group. It's gonna take a lot more than that to take me out. Now let your buddy show off a little. The scarred warrior howled as he rushed towards the 4 remaining Cybermen. He prepared to perform one of his ace techniques as his fingers and hands started bending and stiffing to mimic the ferocious bite of a wolf. The warrior of Earth was blitzing across the field, using his wolf fang fist to full capacity, each blow capable of killing the mutated plant men, yet he didn't stop until all 4 were piled atop of one another in a bleeding mountain of defeat. Victory was assured, but he didn't want to make the same mistake twice. Yamcha cupped his hands by his side, charged up a powerful Kamehameha, and vaporized the Cyberman out of existence. The bandit of the desert turned and threw the silence a cocksure smirk. Don't underestimate us Earthlings, we're packed full of surprises. Yamcha took his place by his friend's side, turning to face the approaching storm that was the mountain of his Scion. Nappa cracked his knuckles as he smiled something sinister. Hey Vegeta, let me do it. I'll kill all 8 at once. Vegeta didn't care. Nappa could do as he pleased, but the prince had a condition for the battle-hungry giant. Do as you wish, but you leave that boy to me. Nappa raised a brow, glancing at Naruto confused. He could only guess Vegeta wanted to torture the boy a bit before Kakarot arrived, finding no better revenge for that traitor of their race than laying his son dead at his feet. The thought made Nappa look towards Gohan maliciously, make that 2 dead sons. What do you want with him? Raditz demanded, glaring at his former comrades. The threat of a battle was quickly approaching, and no one knew how long they had to wait until Goku made his important return. Raditz also knew just how sadistic Vegeta could be, and didn't want his nephew to face such a monster alone. I obviously want to fight the strongest warrior here, and imagine my surprise when that turned out to be a child. For those who didn't know how strong Naruto truly was, it came off as a massive shock to all bar his brother, uncle, and Piccolo at the astounding reveal. The strongest? Vegeta, what are you saying? Nappa couldn't believe Naruto was as strong as Vegeta claimed, finding it downright ridiculous. As absurd as it may sound, That boy has the highest power level out of all of them. Tien, Yamcha, and even Krillin all looked at Naruto in a new light. Was he really that strong that even the enemy could notice it when they couldn't? Are you sure, Vegeta? Nappa felt baffled and even slightly enraged that someone so young was so strong. I'm sure of it. Hey boy! Vegeta called out to the eldest son of Kakarot. The name's Naruto. The prince admired the halfling's snark, finding it amusing and even entertaining as it reminded him of himself in his youth. A cocky little stupid with too much power than he knew what to do with. Naruto then. Show me, and I might just let you live, so you can work for me, Nappa scoffed, crossing his arms as he growled out. There's no way this little punk is that strong. This little punk is going to make you eat your words, Naruto said confidently as he walked forward, passing by his fellow humans until he was a few feet away from the Saiyan invaders. Naruto crouched and held his fists by his side as he charged his ki. Vegeta made sure to keep his scouter trained on the boy. Clicking the button on the side, he watched as the number started to skyrocket past the hundreds into the thousands, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. With a final yell of triumph, Naruto had fully unleashed his power. Something he's never had to do before. He let out a calm breath before looking over towards the prince with a grin, asking, Good enough for you? Ha ha ha. You may be a halfling, but you're still a Saiyan all right. Come boy, I want to see what you can truly do. Vegeta beckoned as he took off towards a different part of the massive clearing, far enough so Nappa wouldn't be able to disrupt their battle. Before Naruto followed after the older Saiyan, he turned to look at Gohan, smiling softly as he told his little brother, Remember our training and stay strong. I'll see you soon, okay? Right. Gohan wouldn't let Naruto down. He would try his best and fight hard, just like their father would. Uncle! Raditz looked towards his oldest nephew with resolve, smirking when he saw Naruto's cocky grin kick his booty. With pleasure, dear nephew. This was an order Raditz had no issues following, cracking his knuckles as his ki started to spread over his form like an uncontrollable flame. His gaze was permanently locked with the taller Saiyan. Good luck to the rest of you. I hope when this is over, we can have a big meal together with my dad. Naruto's words were comforting to his fellow humans, and the promise of them all eating together with their oldest friend, Goku, well, it was certainly something to look forward to. Sounds good, little man. Yamcha, the confident warrior that he is, gave a thumbs up and a cheesy smile. Tien, being a man of very few words, settled for a nod and a smile. His loyal and close companion, Kaiotsu, offered the same courtesy. Krillin, while still blown away by the amount of power the small Saiyan boy had, couldn't help but say, You be careful, Naruto. Naruto didn't say more after that, turning so he was facing the direction where Vegeta took off. His features became more stern and serious as he soared and landed only a few feet away from the smirking prince. This might be my first fight where I can actually let loose. I don't know why, but the thought gets my blood pumping, you know? That is the nature that lies in all Saiyans. It's what made us fierce conquerors throughout the galaxy. Vegeta felt his own blood start to rush at the prospect of an exciting battle. He was confident that he would win, of course, but he wanted to see what the boy was truly capable of. With a savage grin, he flew towards Naruto, eyes wide as he roared. Show me your Saiyan spirit, boy! With Raditz, Gohan, and the others, Nappa had taken to charging his own ki, grinning as he too was enveloped by his own bright aura. Let's dance, little man. Don't get in my way, was the only warning Raditz gave his youngest nephew, the Namekian, and the humans as he charged towards the large tormentor. They met immediately in a deadlock, Raditz growling as he tried to overpower the much larger Saiyan, their hands gripping one another in a power play for dominance. Raditz could tell he was stronger than the bald Saiyan. Not by much, but still, he knew this was a fight he could win. The long-haired Saiyan yelled as he pulled a surprising maneuver. He jumped and then used the grip of their hands as a tether, launching both feet squarely into Nappa's face. This blow dazed the giant, causing his grip to loosen and allow the long-haired Saiyan to backflip away before charging forward with newfound ferocity as he unleashed a heavy barrage of guts punches into Nappa's armored diaphragm, cracking the armor with every gut-shattering blow. Nappa growled as he snatched Raditz by his long spiky hair, smirking when the younger full-blooded Saiyan screamed out in pain. Nappa laughed like a madman as he took off towards the ground with Raditz still in his grip, letting his fellow Saiyan go at the last minute. Raditz hit the ground in a mighty impact. The explosion shook the area and left the long-haired Saiyan buried under rubble. Nappa smirked, pleased with himself and assured that he took care of the long-haired disgrace. He turned his attention to the approaching Z-warriors, turning his back on his fellow Saiyan. That proved to be a grave mistake as Raditz burst from the rubble in a burst of silver. The clothes lended to him by Hashirama were torn and dirty. Nappa didn't even get the chance to approach his new prey as Raditz drove his knee hard into the taller Saiyan's spine, followed by another and another. This provided Piccolo with the perfect opening to land a sharp kick to Nappa's stomach. Spittle flew from the giant's mouth, before he closed it in rage. He placed his right hand behind his back in the direction of Raditz' body, while his left hand wrapped around the Namekian's outstretched leg tight. Raditz didn't have a chance to properly defend himself as the heavy ball of ki left Nappa's hand, smacking into his side, and carrying the shorter scion away before detonating in a mighty eruption of ki. But the mountain of his scion wasn't done. He swung the Namekian with all his might, batting aside Yamcha and Krillin with his body, before throwing the green alien warrior into Tien, sending them both crashing to the ground. Nappa landed heavily, rushing towards the still down Namekian and human, ready to crush them beneath his giant boot-covered feet, but Yamcha came in last second with a much-needed save, shouting the name of his technique as he assaulted Nappa's face with heavy clawed strikes. Wolf-Fang Fist! Nappa smacked Yamcha away with a ki-covered backhand, but the scarred warrior's distraction proved to be fruitful, as the downed warriors managed to move out the way of the giant scion's mad rampage. If only Barley. Tien pointed his finger at the burly scion, concentrating his ki to the tip of his pointer, and firing a thin yellow wave, yelling, Dodonpa! Nappa simply knocked aside the attack as he turned his attention to the three-eyed warrior, smirking as he launched himself at Tien, with his arm shrouded in ki, and unfortunately Tien was too stunned to move. Yamcha could sense the unfortunate fate that would befall his friend, so in a brave but reckless move, he shoved Tien out the way. Splitch! Yamcha's eyes were wide, mouth pooling with blood. He couldn't bear to look down because he knew he would see the evil scion's arm going through his chest and out his back. Why Yamcha? Tien whispered, mouth slightly agape, as he was left shell-shocked, struggling to accept that his friend sacrificed himself to save Tien's life. Weak scum! Nappa showed his cruelty as he flung the dying man off his wrist, as if he was swatting away a common house fly. The three-eyed man moved quickly to catch his friend, cradling him in his arms. Yamcha, no! Krillin wanted to move. He hated himself for not being able to, but he was too shocked, too angry to properly think. Gohan and Piccolo were left shocked, baffled even. They couldn't have expected this outcome, and even if they did, Piccolo knew there was nothing they could have done to change it. Even Raditz cursed Nappa for his cruelty. Filthy mongrel, I nearly forgot how powerful you were, but this fight is far from over. You'll pay for what you've done. Krillin was the first one to break from his stumper, shifting from stunned fear into a vengeful rage as he lifted his hand above his head and started to concentrate his ki for his ace technique. The yellow disc burst to life in his palm, large and spinning at supersonic speeds. Krillin didn't hesitate to throw his attack with a mighty shout of its name, watching as it left his palm, guided by righteous fury. Nappa smirked at the fastly approaching ki disc, and because he was unable to sense ki, he had no idea how powerful the ki engine truly was. Until he got a hint of its power when the ki disc started to slice apart the ground on its nearing approach. Now the scion wasn't sure why, but an instinct was telling him he needed to dodge or else he would die, but in his hubris of waiting too long to move, cost him far more dearly than the giant could have ever imagined. A wet thump hit the ground as Nappa's left arm was separated from his body. The giant was silent, staring at his arm with wide eyes. That was for Yamcha. Krillin panted heavily, managing to form a smirk as his technique took a lot out of him, but it was more than worth it in his opinion. You? Nappa growled out as he was hunched over, cradling his bleeding stump of an arm as he roared. Faggots! Nappa's ki flowed off him like an uncontrollable storm as he shook the area with his pure power alone. He didn't hesitate to charge forward at the now frozen bald monk, intending to crush his skull with his bare hand. But before Nappa could get close to Krillin, he was knocked away by a jaw-shattering punch from Piccolo, followed up by a double axe swing from Raditz that sent the hiking scion in the direction of the frightened Gohan. Do it now, Gohan! Hit him with everything you have! Piccolo ordered, knowing it will be rare for them to get another opportunity like this. Gohan looked white as a ghost. Only 5 years old, and already the poor lad has seen more death than any boy should. He was terrified, and rightfully so. Even Piccolo's calls couldn't break the boy out of his fear. He started to tear up as he thought to himself, I don't know if I can do it. I'm so scared. I just want my mommy. I want my daddy. I want to go home. The boy closed his eyes, and in the darkness of his mind, he imagined his father standing tall, looking over his shoulder at Gohan with a soft but kind smile. It's okay to be afraid, Gohan, but you gotta fight back. Everyone is counting on you. Your brother is counting on you. Your mom is counting on you. And I am counting on you. You can do this, my son. Believe in yourself. That's right. Big bro is fighting all by himself, and I'm acting like a little baby. No, I'm strong too. I won't let anyone down. Gohan's hair flared as his ki surged through his tiny form. He raised his arms, placed one hand over the other, and let loose a large yellow beam with a mighty bellow of Basenko, now Namekian! Raditz ordered as he threw his arms forward, sending out a double Sunday that was closely followed by Piccolo's own Masenko. The attacks hit dead on. Kabyo-im! The following explosion illuminated the area in a combination of yellow and purple. A rumbling shockwave that shattered mountains, slowly calmed to a still, and the remaining smoke revealed Nappa was still alive. His armor was more or less gone, only stray parts of it remained, but his bare titanic form revealed all the cuts and bruises he sustained from the combined ki blast. Nappa looked almost feral as his ki continued to spike. The more injuries he sustained, the more wild and dangerous he was to become. The giant scion chose his next target carefully, rushing towards the tired scion child. He moved far faster than he was previously, the adrenaline of losing an arm fueling him. "Gohan, look out!" Krillin cried, but Raditz was the one to move, getting to Gohan first and knowing he wouldn't have time to fight the hulking scion off, protected the boy by using his body as a shield, taking a skull-cracking blow to the back of the head, sending them both tumbling to the ground in a crash. "Your turn, midget!" Nappa snarled as he once again charged towards the shaking monk, about to kill Krillin when he was stopped by a ferocious shout, an immense ki wave sending him tumbling to the earth. "Ki-ko-ho!" Tien panted as he felt his life force steadily be drained away, his hands cupped together in a diamond formation. His veins bulged as power coursed through his body, and with another shout, fired a second ki-ko-ho. "Tien, stop! If you keep going, you could die!" Kaiatsu cried out, knowing his closest friend would go that far to protect Earth and his friends. Yet Tien didn't, he couldn't. He put the last of his energy and his life force into this final blast, hoping it would be the necessary measure needed to take out at least one of these monster scions. "I'll see you soon, Yamcha, and I'm sorry, Kaiatsu. Forgive me for leaving you behind." "Ki-ko-ho!" A yellow light blinded anyone who was brave enough to witness it in all its powerful glory, but alas, some may say its cost was too great as Tien's lifeless body hit the ground. "Damn it, Tien, not you too!" Krillin whispered in despair, as another friend died before his very eyes. "Tien!" Kaiatsu silently cried, as he moved to sit next to the body of his friend, mourning him as he silently prayed for Goku's quick and needed arrival. "I'll admit, you all were tougher than I thought." The monstrous scion's voice echoed throughout the clearing, but he wasn't quite dead, as everyone hoped. "But at the end of the day, trash is still trash." Raditz grunted as he shook off Nappa's previous blow, relieved to see Gohan wasn't hurt, but furious to see another member of their team had died. "We're dropping one by one. I can only hope you're having an easier time than we are, nephew." With Naruto, the eldest son of Goku, was fighting hard. Power pole in hand, Naruto blocked and countered Vegeta's strikes with great efficiency, finding each blow becoming steadily more difficult to redirect as the prince steadily but slowly increased his power level. Naruto ducked under Vegeta's strongest punch yet, holding his magical staff with both hands as he yelled, "Extend!" Vegeta was momentarily confused when a deep pain set in his stomach. Naruto's staff continued to extend, sending the prince of all scions into a mountain, but far from done, Naruto had his power pole retract to normal before sticking the mighty staff into the ground. With another command of "Extend!" Naruto was brought soaring into the air with his magical weapon, clinging to the power pole for only a moment, then using his strength to swing the extended staff overhead and down where Vegeta lay below, recovering from the surprise blow. The formation of rock shattered upon impact, but the prince was aware enough to catch the staff before it made contact with his face, smirking as he gave a forceful tug that Naruto used to pull himself in close, going for a surprise kick that Vegeta easily avoided. The older scion was surrounded by ki, as he launched a barrage of energy blasts at the surprised scion child. Yet Naruto was resilient as he batted every last ki blast aside with his staff, sending them flying before exploding in quick bursts behind the grinning scion child. Vegeta didn't let up in his assault as he suddenly appeared in front of Naruto, sending out a surprise kick that sent the boy's staff spinning out of his hands. Naruto barely managed to leap out the way as Vegeta went for a downwards punch, shattering apart the earth from his raw strength alone. The prince lifted his head, briefly catching the boy's gaze, and they shared a smirk. They continued their dance of combat, faster than any human eye could trail. Even the likes of Nappa and Raditz would struggle to follow the flow of Naruto and Vegeta's battle. The strongest of all the remaining scion's power level had steadily started to surpass the child, but still, he attempted to match Vegeta blow for blow. Yet the older warrior could sense Naruto was struggling to keep up. He was beginning to have the upper hand. Vegeta knew his next punch would be far too fast for Naruto to follow, and he was right. Naruto couldn't guard in time, and the mighty blow was dead on its way to burying itself into Naruto's whiskered cheek. A shockwave vibrated the entire area, but miraculously, Vegeta's punch failed to make contact thanks to the effect of Naruto's infinity technique, or rather, limitless. There was much more to this outstanding power than the monkey-tailed boy had previously told Tsunade. Sparks flew from around Vegeta's fist from struggling to overpower the invisible barrier. The Scion Prince was confused. He knew this was no simple barrier, but whatever it was, he could not get past it. Not even when he raised his power level to 15,000 did he manage to overpower the Scion child. "You're crazy strong, Vegeta. Definitely the strongest person I've fought so far. But if you think this is going to be easy, then you better think again," Naruto yelled as he started to channel amplified ki into his technique, infinitely converging space to a single point, manifesting a void-like effect and producing fields of attraction. A very complicated technique that could do a multitude of different things, but currently, Naruto only needed it for two things: to increase his strength and speed. HRK! Was all Vegeta managed to gargle out as spill flew from his open mouth. Naruto's fist and arm was buried deeply into his solar plexus, stopping his ability to breathe and think. Because I haven't even begun to show you what I can really do. A high kick to the jaw sent Vegeta flying away as he held his injured abdomen, but the struggling prince didn't get far as Naruto used Limitless to bring Vegeta right back to him, striking the prince with 4 earth-shattering blows, and then ending it with a double kick that sent Vegeta skidding away. Naruto was sure he did some damage, but it was definitely nowhere near good enough to take down Vegeta. The prince proved that by standing up straight, dusting off his armor, as he glared at the smirking child, no longer amused. Naruto opened his mouth to make a retort, but that was when he felt it. Yamcha's energy dropped until it was gone. The monkey-tailed boy found himself speechless. Vegeta's scouter beeped, informing the drop of a power level, and chuckled. Seems one of your friends have already fallen. I wonder who it was. The despicable traitor Raditz? The bald weak little monk? Maybe it was the Namekian? He frowned when he saw that Naruto hadn't fallen for his bait. Then he thought back to the other Saiyan child and smiled evilly. Your little brother, perhaps? Naruto's eyes narrowed in slight anger. He knew what the prince was doing, and he knew Gohan was alright, but the loss of a life had Naruto slightly shaken. He was worried for everyone, his little brother most of all, and he had no way of protecting anyone while he was focused on fighting Vegeta. It left the blonde Saiyan in quite the predicament. Dad, I hope you get here soon. In the other world, Goku was flying over the endless yellow cloudy sky and the long stone trail that was Snake Way. The Saiyan raised on Earth had been flying for hours at his top speed, not giving himself a break as he had no time to waste. The Dragon Balls didn't bring Goku back to Earth like he expected when he was wished back to life, so he had no other choice but to fly as fast as he could to King Yama's castle, where he hoped Kami would be waiting for him and ready to bring the good Saiyan back to Earth. Please don't let me be too late. Just hold on a little longer, boys. Dad's on his way. Goku thought urgently. The mental image of his two boys hurt and in pain only fueled the loving father to fly faster, transcending speeds he didn't even know was possible with the aid of the Kaioken. Goku passed the souls waiting to be judged by the giant Red Horn King, running up to the massive desk as he shouted, Is Kami here, Son Goku? King Yama muttered as he leaned over his desk to look down at the worried father. Before he could say anything, Kami suddenly showed up out of thin air, rushing towards the orange-wearing warrior. Son! We must be quick! Goku looked relieved as he met the Guardian of Earth halfway, holding onto his shoulder as said, Kami! Just in the nick of time, and in seconds they were gone, as if they never appeared in the other world at all. King Yama just grunted as ushered forward the next soul, who had died from the Saiyan arrival, muttering to himself, I'm getting too old for this. With Naruto, the mighty Saiyan child was silent as he focused on fighting the older and stronger prince, pushing his ultimate technique to its very limit, or perhaps the capacity he can handle at this very moment. Regardless, Naruto was growing tired and he knew it. He just hoped Vegeta didn't know. What it truly came down to was the fact that Naruto's technique worked mainly from using his brain, his eyes, and ki. His brain and eyes helped the monkey-tailed boy operate the technique, and his ki supplied the necessary energy to use Limitless effectively, but the drawbacks were that it consumed a tremendous amount of ki, and every use of the technique put a strain on Naruto. If he used it more than he could handle, it would fry Naruto's brain. A massive and very possible risk, but one Naruto was all too happy to take. The intense art of combat between the two Saiyans seemed as if it was never going to end. The back and forth between Naruto and Vegeta was frightening as it was intense. Neither one seemed content on bowing to the other. While Vegeta was stronger and had more power, Naruto's Limitless was the perfect counter, and using the blue prospects of the technique made Naruto much faster than the prince. This damn brat is forcing me to actually use effort. Me? It's absurd. Why the hell is this brat so strong? Is it because he's only half Saiyan? Or is it? No. It's impossible. There's no way this child is the legendary Super Saiyan. Vegeta growled within his own mind. He believed in the legend, of course, but he always assumed that it would be him who became the Saiyan of legend. It would be him who redeemed their race and brought it back to their former glory, or at least that had been what he told himself for years, under Frieza's cruel rule. Naruto surprised Vegeta with a mean right hook, sending the older Saiyan flying away. Then he applied amplified ki into Limitless once more, but it wasn't to make himself faster, as he did previously, but to once again create a void-like effect and produce fields of attraction, and through this action, and a center point manifested a blur-colored sphere. The pull of Limitless was far too strong for Vegeta to overpower. Simply overwhelmed could do nothing but allow his body to be pulled towards the orb. Naruto stood in front of the blue sphere, cupping his hands by his side. The monkey-tailed boy started to chant as he prepared to fire a powerful ki wave. Kamehame! The prince maneuvered himself mid-air, turning his body so he was facing the boy and yelling as he fired 6 ki blasts in a row, but much to his shock, the arrows of ki swirled around Naruto before being sucked into the orb of blue. The light blue ball of ki between Naruto's cupped hands grew to the point where it looked like he could no longer hold the monster sphere of ki, but astonishingly he did. Waiting until Vegeta was only a foot away before throwing his hands forward with a thunderous "Ah!" The sheer magnitude of the ki wave was astonishing, almost 5 times the size of Naruto, and yet, the little scion had no problem unleashing such power from his cupped hands, putting everything he had in the attack and more. Vegeta had to take the deadly blast head-on, having no other choice, and his only form of defense was to cross his arms and shield himself in ki, a minimal effort that was ultimately useless as he was carried by the blue ki wave until it detonated, creating a massive blue explosion that the remaining Z warriors definitely sensed and saw. Naruto knew there was no chance of his Kamehameha defeating Vegeta, but he was damn sure it hurt like hell. The eldest son of Goku was left panting after unleashing his magnificent attack. Blood slowly trailed from his nose as the blue sphere created by Limitless faded from existence. Naruto winced as he wiped the blood away from his upper lip, grimacing as he stared at his stained sleeve. However, the monkey-tailed boy didn't get much time to think about this greatly growing concern as the smoke surrounding Vegeta blew away from his ferocious roar, ki surging around his seething form as he glared daggers at Naruto. The boy is far too dangerous to let live. If he's this strong now, what kind of monster will he be fully grown? Vegeta knew at the moment there was no way for him to get past Naruto's technique, but the prince was a prodigy and a battle genius for a reason. He spotted the faint traces of blood underneath Naruto's nose, the fatigue in his stance. He could win this. Vegeta simply needed to force Naruto to keep relying on his technique and burn himself out. That is when the sinister prince would strike. "You have proven your worth, boy, so I shall honor you with my most powerful attack, but fair warning, I wouldn't try and dodge it. If you do, I might just accidentally blow up the planet," Vegeta warned as he was surrounded by a menacing purple aura. The ground and perhaps the very earth itself was shaking from his power. "What?" Naruto cried as the purple ki ball, spasming with power, grew in Vegeta's cupped grip. The man's eyes went slightly crazed as he shifted his stance. "Gallic gun!" The movement of pushing both his hands forward was almost missed as he screamed the name of his very attack to the very heavens. "Fire!" The purple beam scorched and destroyed whatever it made contact with, or that would be the case if it wasn't for Naruto's infinity taking effect. The planet-destroying ki blast was relentless, its power near indescribable, but still Naruto held on, glaring at the smirking prince before letting out a mighty yell and throwing the destructive energy blast into space. Drip! Naruto panted weakly as blood flowed from his nose in 2 steady streams. His body was beginning to burn out. His head throbbed in tremendous amounts of pain, and he felt like he was going to pass out at any moment. So why couldn't he wipe the smile from his face? Was it because of his Scion blood? Was it the thrill of combat? Or was it simply the fact that for the first time in his life, Naruto actually had to try? That perhaps he wasn't the strongest, and out in the vast space that was the universe, there were beings with power that he couldn't possibly imagine. I've nearly pushed him to his limit. Just a little more, Vegeta thought, rushing towards his fellow Scion to end their battle. Naruto struggled to use Limitless, the concentration and power needed slowly waning. That was when Vegeta surprised Naruto, holding his hand out and unleashing a ki wave point blank. Naruto's infinity did well to repel the life-ending attack, but the more Vegeta held on, the harder it was for Naruto to fight the energy beam off. That's when the worst possible scenario happened. Naruto's technique overworked his body and his brain, shutting the monkey-tailed boy down. A massive explosion pushed Vegeta back, ending his brutal assault. The Scion Prince waited for the smoke to clear, and when it did, he smirked at the sight that beheld him. It was Naruto. He was still standing tall, but blood was leaking from his eyes, nose and mouth. It didn't even seem Naruto was conscious given the way his eyes were so dull and blank. "That was a magnificent battle. Be proud, son of Kakarot. You are strong." It was rare for Vegeta to give anyone praise, and while he was a proud man, he wasn't too prideful to admit that Naruto was more than a worthy opponent and did more damage to him than any opponent he has ever fought before. He would always remember Naruto. With that thought in mind, he charged one last time, ready to finally end the monkey-tailed boy's life. With Raditz and the others, with 2 members of their group down, tension was thickening. Nappa was steadily weakening, but it wasn't fast enough. Being down in arms seemed to make the giant only more desperate and dangerous. His mustache mouth curled as he looked towards Piccolo. "I didn't expect a Namekian like you to be so powerful. I wonder if the others are as strong as you. I'll enjoy finding out as I kill every last one of them. After that I'll wish for a new arm, of course." "Others?" Piccolo whispered, wondering if the Scion was telling the truth. Was it true that he wasn't a demon, but actually an alien? And could it be possible that out there was a planet full of his people? "So you don't know? Hey, isn't that funny?" Nappa chuckled before soaring at Piccolo with a burst of ki. Tragic, you'll never get to find out more about your race, slug. I've got you. Raditz roared, but this was all to Nappa's plan as he suddenly turned to face his fellow Scion, swiping his hand to the side, as he sent out a very thin ki wave that traveled in an arc. Raditz managed to maneuver his body out of the way of the attack, but still got caught in the following blast. With Raditz temporarily out of commission, it gave Nappa the opportunity he needed to return to his sudden attack on Piccolo, holding his own even while he was an arm down. A sudden knee to the stomach had Piccolo keeling over, then a blow to the chin had the Namekian flying until Nappa snatched him by the ankle and slammed him hard into the ground, face first. Mr. Piccolo! Gohan yelled as he tried to come to the aid of his mentor and friend. Gohan, why? Krillin made to stop the Scion child before he could get seriously hurt, but he was too slow. Gohan was kicked back into the bald monk, sending them crumbling into a pile. Nappa turned his attention back to Piccolo, resting his boot on top of the green alien man's skull. Tell me where the Dragon Balls are and I'll make this quick. Nappa made sure to grind his heel as he applied more pressure. I'm not telling you, MGH, anything. Piccolo managed to grit out as he glared up defiantly at Scion Giant. Fine. I'm done with you all anyway. At that very moment, Naruto's massive Kamehameha blinded the area in blue, forcing Nappa to raise his remaining arm to shield his eye from the light. Losing his footing from the following explosion, Raditz chose that moment to make his timely return, surprising Nappa by wrapping his arms around the burly man's stomach and suplexing the giant of a man into the ground. Leaping away to point a single hand at the struggling Scion and fire a full-powered Saturday Crush. Raditz doubted that he killed the troublesome giant, but it would buy the downed Namekian enough time to regain his strength and get back into the fight. Before Raditz could take so much as another move, the sky darkened a purple hue. The earth itself felt like it was shaking to the very core. Vegeta's Gallic gun had Raditz taking a knee. That damn fool, he'll kill us all. But alas, Vegeta's Gallic gun was overpowered by Naruto. Raditz cheered for his nephew's success inside his mind, but then the older Scion felt Naruto's power rapidly dropping, and knew what that meant. He frantically turned to Piccolo, saying, You and the boy need to handle this. Naruto needs my help. Go! Raditz gave a nod, and then rocketed towards the area where Naruto and Vegeta were currently fighting. He prayed he wasn't too late. Raditz arrived just in time to see his nephew about to die. He didn't know when he started to move, but before he knew it, he was across the clearing with his fist buried deeply into Vegeta's cheek. Raditz roared like an Ozaru as he charged ki into his clenched hand. A sonic boom was created from the force of Vegeta spiraling away, skipping across the ground thrice until Vegeta made himself stop, growling like a feral beast as he glared hatefully at Raditz. The brother of Kakarot briefly glanced over his shoulder, eyes briefly softening at the sight of his nephew, Naruto. Raditz looked away and steeled his heart. He would protect Naruto with everything he had left. He knew Kakarot was close, he could sense it. How does it feel, Prince? How does it feel knowing a lower-class warrior made you bleed? Raditz taunted, taking Vegeta's attention off of Naruto and placing it squarely on himself. The Prince of all Scions was confused until he reached up with his white-gloved hand, touching his lower lip, then pulling his hand away, eyes shaking at the sight of his blood. Damn you! Damn you! Vegeta was merciless as he beat Raditz, his goal to break every bone in the man's body before he killed him. He wanted Raditz to suffer, not just for being a traitor, but also for his disrespect and his arrogance at believing he was Vegeta's equal. Raditz felt his consciousness fading from every blow. He could barely stand, but he refused to go down. Not with Naruto counting on him. Asterisk pant, is that all you got? Raditz questioned with a smirk and bloody face as he fell to a knee, never losing his fighting spirit. I'm ending this traitor. Vegeta snarled as he threw his hand forward and fired a large ki wave that was sure to vaporize Raditz when it hit. Go to hell! Damn it, I'm sorry, Naruto. I tried my best. Raditz bowed his head as he accepted his fate with a smile, the ground rumbling as the ki wave approached. I'll see you soon, mother, father. But Raditz was not fated to die this day, as the ki wave was smacked aside by a force who was more than equal to the prince in power. Long time no see, brother. Kakarot? Raditz whispered, relieved and comforted by the sight of his baby brother. Leave the rest to me. Goku told Raditz with a smile, then glancing over to his son, a look of concern flashing over his eyes before he turned his attention to the Scion Prince, his features hardening as the greatest and strongest warrior of Earth was ready for the fight of his life. Chapter 4. The decisive battle for Earth. Kami's arrival couldn't have come at a more perfect time, bringing Goku back to Earth in mere seconds, but the Scion raised on Earth didn't have time for idle chit-chat. All Goku could do was give a wave of thanks over his shoulder as he leapt off of the side of Kami's lookout. Goku was surprised to see Korin was leaning partially out of his tower, his non-staff wielding hand clenched tight. Son Goku, catch! The father of Naruto and Gohan caught the magical senzu beans, a little disappointed that they only had 3, but he was still thankful nonetheless. Thanks, Korin! Goku ate one of the 3 senzu beans, restoring himself back to full power. not wanting to waste ki, for he knew he was going to need as much energy as possible for the fight to come. Goku cupped his hands to the side of his mouth as he called out for his trusty yellow cloud. Nimbus! Swoosh! His loyal cloud, a gift from his master, arrived not soon after its name left his mouth. Goku grinned as he flipped mid-air and landed in a squat-like position as he rode the magical cloud. You gotta go as fast as you can, Nimbus! His wish was easily granted as his loyal cloud pushed itself to speeds he didn't even know was possible for something so small. His long black spikes flowed in the wind as he brought one of the Senza beans to his mouth, munching down the magical healing bean in a couple bites, and within seconds his strength returned in all its terrifying glory. Just hang on a little longer, boys. I promise I'm not too far away. Goku grit his teeth as he could sense the world-shaking battle taking place between Naruto and Vegeta. He was left momentarily speechless as he thought to himself, geez, I knew you were strong, kiddo, but I had no idea it reached this extent. Wait, something's happening. It's Naruto's energy. It's dropping too low. But it wasn't just Naruto. There was another life force steadily dropping, and the Saiyan warrior knew he wouldn't arrive in time to save said life. Faster, Nimbus, hurry! Goku was left distressed, as he wasn't sure who was left on the verge of death, and who was still alive. He could only hope his two boys were alright. Gohan, Piccolo and Krillin, the Namekian warrior that is Piccolo, the other half of Kami, never would have thought such a monster like Nappa could have existed. The man was down an arm, covered in cuts and blood, but still he kept fighting. He wouldn't rest until we were all dead at his feet, and this planet was in smithereens. Piccolo didn't know if they could win. At this point they were more or less stalling until Goku returned, or Raditz did, and given what he could sense, Raditz wouldn't be returning. Hey Krillin, do you have any energy left? Piccolo was almost praying the little human warrior had enough energy for a Kienzan, but he wouldn't give such a thought too much hope. I think I have enough for one last blast. What about you? Krillin asked, knowing that this last charge was a gamble. Success was low, but at this point, what else was left to lose? Yeah, I still have a little left in me, but I'm not sure how much more Gohan can take. Piccolo muttered. His student fought well, but he was near exhausted, panting a few feet away from the Namekian. Yeah, the little guy is looking roughed up. Krillin noticed all the cuts and scrapes that littered Gohan's tiny arms and GI. It wouldn't be right to put the kid through any more pain. I have a plan, and it's a gamble if it will work or not, Piccolo said as he eyed Nappa's tail. Anything is better than nothing at this point, the bald monk replied as Nappa slowly approached the weakened trio. I'll go for his tail, hold him down long enough for you and Gohan to use the last of your energy and take him down. Krillin thought there was quite a bit of merit to the plan, gaining a smile. That's right, a Scion's weakness is their tail. It sounds good to me. Not like I can think of anything better anyways. Piccolo nodded, glad to see the little human was on board. He then turned his attention to his apprentice. Good. Gohan, you follow Krillin's lead, alright? Okay, Mr. Piccolo. Gohan promised before following Piccolo, turning to face Nappa, crouching into a fighting position as he prepared himself to spring into action. Piccolo shrouded ki around himself, growling as the earth broke apart from his very feet as he burst towards the hulking Scion. Now! Nappa smirked as he intended to meet Piccolo with a charge of his own. What he wasn't expecting was for the Namekian to throw a ki blast at the ground, creating a smoke screen and blinding the terrorizing Scion. Damn pest! Without the ability to sense ki, Nappa was left blind and defenseless, unable to do anything as the Namekian warrior snatched his tail in a tight grip. I've got you, no monster! Hee hee. Nappa slowly turned his head, gazing down over his shoulder at Piccolo with a grin. You didn't actually think that would work, did you? Piccolo wasn't given a chance to respond as Nappa immediately stunned the green warrior with an elbow drop to the top of his head, followed by a sharp knee that sent the Namekian warrior tumbling across the ground, back first into an extraordinarily large boulder. The evil Scion reared his leg back and then threw it forward, stomping on Piccolo's face, over and over, steadily cracking the boulder apart. Gohan watched the brutality of his master with wide shaking eyes. He was beyond furious as he roared. Leave him alone, Gohan! Krillin knew the cruel giant was leading them Gohan into a trap, but he charged forward anyway, knowing he couldn't let his best friend's son die. It's over! Nappa pointed his remaining hand at the flying Scion child, curling his lips sinisterly as he fired a powerful ki blast, strong enough to reduce the Scion boy to dust in the wind if he was hit by it. But Gohan's months of training were put to the test as he skewered over the titanic ball of ki, his brown martial arts shoes, skimming it briefly before the son of Goku redoubled his efforts and struck Nappa as hard as he could. Are you okay, Mr. Piccolo? Gohan asked as helped the green alien warrior into a sitting position. Piccolo wiped the blood off his face, wincing as he struggled to stand, grunting as he attempted to use a piece of the shattered and cracked boulder to rise himself into a standing posting, but it seems he didn't have the strength to do even that. Why you need to run, Gohan? I'm not leaving you behind. Gohan swore as he shook his head. He wouldn't abandon his master to die. He couldn't. Krillin rested a hand on his best friend's son's shoulder in an attempt to calm. Stubborn little idiot, Piccolo whispered, touched by the boy's determination to save his life, but ultimately knew his time was drawing near. He was going to die today, he was certain of it, and he was sure that old fool Kami knew it as well. Before anyone had a chance to do anything, Nappa appeared out of nowhere, kicking Gohan hard in his stomach, smirking as spittle and blood flew out of the boy's mouth. Gah! But he wasn't satisfied with only Gohan. He flew and took Krillin by the face, dragging the screaming monk across the grassy earth before letting him go, leaving the human warrior to drag into the ground from his own momentum. Gohan tumbled across the ground, wrapping an arm protectively around his stomach as he used his left hand to steady himself, wheezing as he glared defiantly at Nappa's cruel smirk. I'm sick and tired of you all. It's time to end it. Nappa charged a tremendous amount of ki into his remaining hand, arm bulging and trembling as he launched his attack at the son of Kakarot. Die, brat! The small Saiyan child stared death in the face with eyes full of tears. He wasn't ready to die. He didn't want to die, but his body couldn't move. It couldn't do much of anything. All he could do was watch as the destructive ki blast moved in slow motion. Dad, big bro. Anybody, please save me. Gohan! Krillin screamed the boy's name in desperation. He was too weak to move, too broken. There was nothing he could do, but he was still desperate to do something other than just lay in a broken heap. Gohan could only watch in despair as the ki blast drew closer, the area taking a white hue from the intensity of the energy blast. It seemed that poor Gohan wasn't going to make it when a large figure appeared just in time with his arms spread wide, ready and willing to take the full blunt of the life-ending blast. The Green Warrior's roar of agony seemed to echo throughout Gohan's mind. He was left shocked as he watched his mentor slowly die through his tear-filled eyes. The ground shook, and then there was mighty rumble followed by an explosion, but when it cleared, Piccolo was still standing, smirking towards Nappa even as his skin continued to sizzle and crack like roasted pork. Is that, NGH, all you got? Piccolo struggled to breathe as his words came out slurred. He tried to take a step forward, but that proved to be a mistake. His body could no longer hold up his own weight, sending the green alien warrior falling and collapsing harshly onto his side. Mr. Piccolo, Gohan whispered as gently rolled the dying warrior onto his back, bowing his head in shame. It's all my fault. Gohan, get out of here, Piccolo ordered, not wanting the boy to share his fate. Hold on, Mr. Piccolo. Dad will be here soon and he'll make you all better, I promise. Gohan had crawled over to Piccolo's still form, his tears hitting the ground like steady raindrops. Please don't die. It's funny, me, Piccolo, the great, incorruptible evil, saving a child. Heh, how pathetic. Piccolo bared his soul to Gohan in his final moments. In his own mind, he thought back on his life, and how he only lived for 8 years, how all his past plans for world domination just felt meaningless now. None of it mattered because he knew deep down he had changed. It's because of you and your dad, infecting me with your softness, Piccolo, Gohan managed to utter, too stunned to speak. You know, why you were the only one to ever really talk to me. Piccolo hated himself for the tears, damn it. He didn't want to cry, not in front of Gohan, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't stop. Those last couple of months we spent together, they weren't so bad, strangely enough, even when your brother joined. It was nice not to feel so alone. Piccolo gave his crying student a weak smile as the light started to fade. Thank you for being my friend. The great demon king Piccolo had died, not as a tyrant nor a monster but a defender and a champion of Earth. Like I thought, just a useless slug after all. Nappa's words sent Gohan into a rage. The boy threw his head back as he screamed to the very heavens. The ground shook from his power, pieces of earth floating from the heavy output of ki. I'm going to rip out your spine! Gohan surprised even Nappa with his speed. He was like a relentless demon as he hit harder than he ever had before, using power he didn't even know he had. So blinded by rage, he wasn't even aware that he was screaming nor what he was saying, his inner Saiyan leading his furry onto the one-armed giant. I'll shove it down your throat and tear your heart out. You're dead, you hear me? Dead. Gohan kicked Nappa away, yellow ki gathered between his palms, and the furious boy rained a barrage of energy blasts on the stunned Saiyan elite, following it up with one last ki blast, the last of his fury and desire for vengeance fueling his final attack. Boom! The explosion that followed created a mushroom-shaped dust cloud. Krillin couldn't believe his eyes, mouth agape, as he whispered out the boy's name in disbelief. Gohan, pant, I hope I made you proud, Mr. Piccolo. But the son of Goku would soon find out. While he still did a fair amount of damage, it still was useless. Enough! I've had more than enough with all of you. Nappa growled, his bloodshot eyes locked squarely on the shocked Saiyan child. No! Krillin whispered. He blinked, and before he knew it, Nappa was in front of the trembling little boy. It was fun, brat, but I'm done with you. Don't worry, I'll send Daddy to see you real soon. Nappa laughed as he raised his foot high and brought it down in a mighty stomp. intending to crush Gohan under his massive boot-covered feet. Swish! Gohan slowly opened his eyes to see he was floating? But that couldn't be possible, he had no energy. That's when the brave little warrior looked down, a happy smile breaking across his face at a very familiar cloud. Nimbus! What the dash? Nappa muttered as his brows creased in confusion, eyeing Gohan wearily until he heard the sound of boots touching the ground. Slowly, he turned his head to see none other than Goku staring at him with a cold, furious gaze. D-Daddy. Gohan had never looked happier. The sight of his father made the boy feel safer than he had been in months. Krillin was starting to tear up in relief. Finally, his best friend was back. Hope had returned tenfold. They could still win this. Goku was silent as he walked toward Piccolo's corpse, squatting as he placed his fingers on the alien man's neck, searching for life, closing his eyes sadly when he could find none. Piccolo! Slowly Goku rose, turning to look at Yamcha, then at Tien, who still had Kaiotsu sitting faithful by his still side, head bowed. He tried to stop Nappa with his power, but he was unfortunately far too weak to even attempt to hold the monster in place. Unable to bear the sight of what was going to happen to Gohan, he looked away. Don't tell me you're shocked to find your worthless friends dead. Ha ha ha! Don't worry, Kakarot, you'll see them soon enough. Nappa said in an attempt to agitate the Scion raised on Earth, losing his evil smirk when he saw Kakarot wasn't rising to his bait. You're going to pay for this, Goku promised, as he surged his ki throughout his body in an intimidating display of power. Nappa didn't need his scouter to feel nervous, sweat trailing down the side of his bald head as he took a step back. What's wrong with me? I can't possibly be scared of this low-class trash. I'm a warrior. A Scion elite. Nappa screamed within his own mind, swallowing his fear as he charged at Goku with a yell, throw a punch that Nappa was sure was a dead-on hit, only for Goku to turn his body to the side, glaring his move within Nappa's guard. Far too fast for the Titanic Scion to react as he buried his fist and arm deeply into Nappa's stomach. Nappa took multiple steps back as spittle, blood and perhaps even a little bile trailed down his chin, eyes wide and bloodshot as he grit out. Why, you're gonna pay for that? You talk a lot, but you don't have the strength to back it up. Goku taunted, yet he never broke his cool gaze. His mouth set in a thin line as Nappa responded by surrounding himself in ki and launching himself at Goku with a fury of punches. What the hell did you say? You think I'm all talk, huh? Well, let's see what you think of this, you little prick. Nappa roared, steadily losing all sense of himself, as he didn't have Vegeta here to keep him in line. Nappa was sure he had Kakarot this time, ready to ensnare the orange-wearing man in a back-breaking hold, only for the Scion on Earth to embarrass the mustached warrior by standing on top of his smooth head. Nappa yelled in fury, as he tried everything in his power to capture Goku, but it was clear he was outmatched in both speed and strength. Goku surprised the evil Scion invader with a surprise kick to the stomach. This is for Yamcha. Nappa snarled like an ape as he attempted to kick Goku in retaliation, only to receive a heavy elbow to the chin for his troubles. That was for Tien Shinhan. Nappa stopped his intense mid-air spin by pure force, righting himself and turning as he threw a massive ki blast, packed with enough power to rupture the planet. Die! Goku saw the attack quickly approaching and didn't even bother with dodging, taking the attack head-on and allowing himself to be caught in the following explosion. Nappa's premature celebration was cut off before it could even start as the smoke cleared to reveal Goku was completely unharmed. Not even his GI had a mark, tear or scratch from Nappa's ineffective attack. In a blink and you miss it moment, Goku knocked Nappa to the ground before following up with a kick that dislocated the much larger Scion's jaw, sending his burly form flying into a mountain. And that was for Piccolo. Nappa growled as he pulled his bloody form out of the rock and dirt, nearly frothing at the mouth from his building rage. The hulking Scion yelled as he swiped his two fingers up, detonating the ground around Goku similar to how he destroyed East City, but of course, the Scion of Earth saw it coming and was completely unharmed. Nappa saw his opportunity. He charged at Goku with a yell, thinking he had the upper hand. A hard elbow to the chest sent Nappa sailing back to reality as he held the area Goku had struck. Spittle flew past his lips as he snarled. Take this! The mountain of a Scion opened his mouth wide, having built a tremendous amount of ki, and let it loose, using his ultimate and most powerful move against the Scion warrior raised on Earth, but it was child's play for Goku to counter it with a simple Kamehameha. That was my most powerful attack! Nappa said to himself in disbelief, feeling for the first time fear and outclassed by someone other than Vegeta. That one made me sweat a little, Goku commented as he shot the much larger Scion a cocky smirk before shifting his features to something more stern. I think it'll be best if you give up before I seriously have to hurt you. I'll give you this one chance to leave and never come back. Overpowered by lower-class scum like you? Nappa knew he couldn't beat Kakarot. Even if he didn't lose his arm, he was smart enough to know it wouldn't have made a difference, and yet, it was his pride that took the heaviest blow. He glanced towards the now standing bald monk and his fellow Scion's child, an idea forming as he realized that if he couldn't beat Goku physically, then he'll strike where it'll hurt the most. Grr, I'll teach you to make a mockery of me. Oh no, Gohan, Krillin. Goku gave chase after the hulking giant, but he could see Nappa was using his remaining ki to shoot himself at his Kakarot's son and best friend as fast as he could. He was too fast, just out of Goku's reach. Die! Nappa screamed in glee, smirking when he saw both Gohan and Krillin were too stunned to move. Goku broke out into a sweat as he gave chase, but as Nappa drew closer to his son, he knew that he would be too late. I'm not going to make it. I got no choice, Kaioken. Red energy shrouded Goku heavily as he used the ancient and powerful technique of his master, appearing behind the evil Scion and sending him spiraling into a heavy free fall after he charged into his unprotected back. In another burst of speed, Goku appeared under the burly giant, catching him with a single hand but at the same time, snapping his spine from the impact. Nappa forgot to breathe from the intensity of the pain, unable to move or even twitch a finger as he was thrown to the ground. Nappa groaned in pain, clawing at the earth as he failed to move. I can't feel my legs, I warned you, was all Goku said before walking over to his child, crouching down so he was closer to Gohan in height, and gave him a big hug. I'm so glad to see you're okay, Gohan. Daddy, it's okay, son, I'm here. Goku pulled back to offer his son half of a senzu bean, offering the other to his wounded best friend. Eat this, you'll feel way better. Here's half for you, Krillin. Thanks, Goku, you're a lifesaver. Krillin told the taller man, nearly in tears from relief. Big bro. Gohan's sudden yell drew his father's attention. The boy hurried and gripped his father's GI tight, frantically telling him, Dad, Naruto's in trouble. Uncle Raditz went to help him. You have to hurry. Goku had momentarily forgotten about his other son's dropping energy during his fight with Nappa. Goku simply gave his son a nod before taking off in a burst of speed. Neither Gohan or Krillin could keep up with stronger Waitron's astonishing speed, but such a sight, and the way the Scion raised on Earth defeated Nappa brought hope to the two tired warriors. Goku flew onto the scene, just in time to see his brother about to be reduced to dust by the approaching ki wave. Without any hesitation, he saved Raditz, the man who was once his enemy and now the defender of his son. Goku smacked aside the ki wave, glaring at the snarling Scion prince, who was steadily schooling his features. Finally, Kakarot had arrived. Vegeta paused in his gruesome assault, staring at the new arrival curiously, cursing as he no longer had a scouter to scan Goku's power level. He was essentially blind and unaware of how strong this stranger, who he assumed was Kakarot, truly was, but given he had to get past Nappa first, and since he looked unharmed, then it was more than safe to assume he had a high power level. K Kakarot? Raditz whispered his brother's name, his non-swollen eye widening. Long time no see, brother, Goku said, glancing over his shoulder with a smile. Before his gaze moved to the still form of his son, he was instantly at Naruto's side, carefully cradling the boy in his arms, reaching into a hidden pocket inside his GI, grimacing as he saw he only had one bean left. Raditz recognized the senzu bean immediately, and could tell from the look on his brother's face that there was only one left. He gave a dismissive grunt. Give it to the boy, Raditz. Goku called out his brother's name in shock as he looked over to his fellow Scion, taking in his appearance. Every bone surely had to be broken in his body. Blood covered his form head to toe. He must have been in agony, but even so, he still demanded that Naruto take the full senzu. Splitting it in half would just be a waste. Give it to him. He needs it more. His older brother gave no room for argument, giving a dismissive grunt as he found a rock to lay against. You really have changed. Goku was wise enough not to say his thoughts out loud. While he didn't know Raditz that well, he knew the man enough to know he was a very prideful individual, a trait that all Scions share in one way or another. Goku carefully shuffled Naruto in his arms, placing the senzu bean at Naruto's slightly parted lips. Chew on this, son. With his father's aid, Naruto slowly munched on the senzu, and its effects were almost instantaneous. His wound steadily faded away, and his strength returned like a fanned ember finding its natural state of a roaring flame. Naruto's eyes slowly blinked open in confusion, looking around until finally he locked eyes with the man he's always wanted to meet, the man he inspired to be, the warrior he was destined to surpass, his father. D-Dad? Is that you? Naruto's lip trembled as tears grew in the corner of his eyes. His father was finally in front of him in the flesh, and he was everything Naruto hoped he would be. His dark eyes were filled with unconditional love and kindness. He was radiating with earth-shaking strength, but he was still gentle like a loving father should be. It's really me, buddy. Goku was gentle as he used his own GI to wipe the blood off his boy's face, praising him. You did so well to hold him off till I got back. I'm so proud of you, son. Naruto craned his head down so his father couldn't see his eyes, shaking. Asterisk sniff, asterisk sniff. Goku blinked in confusion, worried he may have possibly upset his son. He tried to comfort him by asking, What's wrong? Are you okay, Only for Naruto to interrupt his father with a tackle that felt as if it was launched at supersonic speeds. Midway through the harmless tackle, it shifted into a tight embrace. Just like how he does with his mother, Naruto wrapped his tail around his father as he nuzzled into his chest, crying, "I'm so happy to finally meet you." Goku couldn't help but chuckle in an innocent manner, gently patting his son on the back as he whispered, "Me too, Naruto." Such a warm and loving moment was not long-lasting, as the dreaded Prince of all Science had to make his timely interruption. "As heartwarming as this all is, Kakarot, you have unfinished business." Goku frowned, gently placing his son on the ground as he turned to face his fellow Scion, with his features now becoming hard as stone. "I guess you're right. You know my name, but I can't say I know yours. Vegeta, son of King Vegeta III, Prince of all Scions, and I'm here for the Dragon Balls." Vegeta was short with his introduction, and made it clear what he was after straight away. His power was beyond intimidating, more intense than anything Goku had ever felt before, but the Scion raised on Earth also knew there was a slight dip in Vegeta's power from his fierce battle with Naruto. "There's no point," Goku told the prince coldly. "Oh, and why would that be, Kakarot?" questioned Vegeta in amusement, curious on what bluff his fellow Scion would say in an attempt to try and fool him. "The Dragon Balls were used to bring me back to life, so they're all but useless now, but that doesn't matter considering your buddy killed Piccolo." Goku's explanation had Vegeta losing his smile rather quickly, eyes narrowing dangerously. "What about the Namekian?" Vegeta's words carried a barely suppressed fury, a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. "Because of him, the Dragon Balls are gone." Goku moved to stand in front of his son and brother, unsure what the Prince of all Scions would do with this new information. He didn't want Naruto or Raditz to be caught in the crossfire of Vegeta's wrath. "What?" He surged around Vegeta the more he learned how pointless this year-long trip to Earth really was. Disobeying the orders of Frieza, securing his death warrant, only for it to be for nothing. His wish for immortality, once again out of his grasp. "I guess you didn't know that? NRGH!" Goku's words had Vegeta soaring into a rage, blasting off towards Nappa's location so he could deal with his crippled comrade. "You stay here with Raditz, Naruto," Goku ordered his son as he took off after Vegeta, leaving no room for argument as he was gone in a heavy dash of speed. "Dad, wait!" Naruto called out as he went to give chase after his father, but the voice of his uncle halted his own sudden takeoff. "Naruto!" Raditz grunted as he moved to stand next to his nephew, cradling his limp arm. "You haven't fully recovered. You'd only get in the way if you attempted to aid your father. But I can't stand here and do nothing!" Naruto yelled, angry not at his uncle but himself and the situation they were in. He knew he needed to help his father. His Scion blood was practically screaming at him to fly and fight, but deep down, Naruto knew his uncle was right. "I understand how you feel. Even now I want to follow after Kakarot and fight, but trust me, your father is stronger than you think. Believe in him because at this moment, he's our only hope." Raditz finished his piece with a grunt as he rose to his feet, slowly walking in the direction where he could sense his other nephew and the bald monk were currently residing. "Dad," Nappa clawed at the green grass, growling as he tried to crawl away from the battlefield, stopping when he saw a pair of white boots. The bald Scion weakly lifted his head, holding his hand out for his fellow Scions to take. "Be Vegeta, help me, please!" Vegeta stared at the outstretched hand with an unreadable peer. He reached out and clasped Nappa's hand tightly. Nappa gave the prince a look of gratitude, giving a weak smile. "Thank you, Vegeta. No problem, friend. Vegeta said sinisterly, as his grip on Nappa's hand became bone-crushing, smirking as he threw the much larger man into the sky as white ki surged around his form, transforming itself into a compacted blast that rumbled the ground as it was launched. The burly paralyzed Scion stared at the approaching ki wave in betrayal. He had known the prince since he was a boy. He had been a loyal warrior and had thought they were like brothers given they were the last of their race. All Nappa managed to wail out before he was vaporized was a harrowing, "Vegeta, why?" "Boom, I have no use for a Scion that can't even use his legs," was Vegeta's cruel reply, chuckling at Kakarot's furious expression. "You heartless monster, he was your comrade," Goku growled out, fists clenched tight at the Scion Prince's lack of compassion. "He was weak," Vegeta said simply, arms crossing as he asked, "Now shall we?" Not wanting to risk anyone else getting hurt or any innocent life stumbling upon them mid-fight, Goku gestured for the older Scion to follow him, planning to lead him to a deserted rocky terrain. "Not here. Follow me, if you can." Gohan and Krillin watched the two Scions fly away, feeling relief when they were no longer surrounded by the suffocating nature of Vegeta's ki. Gohan looked away from the direction his father flew off and turned his head towards the weak ki signature slowly approaching. The boy's eyes flew wide at the sight of his beaten and bruised uncle. "Uncle Raditz, Naruto." Naruto gave his younger brother a tired but supportive grin, glad to see Gohan was alive and alright. "You okay, Gohan?" Gohan appreciated his big brother's concern, giving a little nod as he moved to help steady Raditz on his more wounded side. "Yeah. Dad came and saved us just in time, but Mr. Piccolo." It was only now that Naruto and Raditz noticed the perished Namekian warrior. Naruto's eyes became downcast, mumbling, Poor Piccolo. Don't be so sad. We can bring everyone back with the Dragon Balls. Raditz' comment had the two halflings and the full-blooded human staring at the injured scion in disbelief. But Piccolo's gone. How could we use him? Naruto questioned, hope beginning to take root inside his heart. The Namekian wasn't the only one of his kind. There is a planet full of Namekians called Planet Namek, and I'm more than certain they have Dragon Balls as well. Raditz said confidently, smirking when he saw joy sprout across both Naruto and Gohan's face as they cheered. Did you hear that, Naruto? We might be able to bring everyone back. Gohan said happily as he held his brother's hands, tail swishing in excitement. We are gonna bring everyone back, Gohan. Uncle Raditz, how do we get to Namek? Before Raditz could so much as explain, explosions of ki erupted in the distance, cutting the man off as everyone stared at the far rocky terrain in concern. Damn, they've already started. Krillin muttered, practically feeling every blow from the rumbling force of the ground. Raditz was first to see the determined looks quickly appearing on his nephew's face, scowling as he said, Don't be fools, you'll only get yourself hurt. Naruto gave his uncle a sheepish smile, starting to walk backwards. Sorry, Uncle Raditz, but we're going to help Dad. Naruto rocketed off towards the direction of his father, Gohan following suit, waving goodbye to Raditz as he yelled out, Bye, Uncle! Damn brats! Raditz cursed before grimacing in pain, cussing out his brother's sons and their scion nature, yet he knew he would be lying if he didn't admit he was proud of them. Naruto! Gohan! Krillin called out to the reckless scion children, but his calls fell on deaf ears as they quickly flew out of sight. Go after them, monk! Raditz ordered, glancing over to his left to see Kaiotsu still alive and slowly walking towards them. What about you? Krillin asked, taking a knee next to the injured scion. TCH, I'm not going to die, but I'm useless as I am now. Krillin gave a hesitant nod, saying, Got it. You stay here, and I'll be back with the boys soon. Raditz watched silently as the bald monk took off after Naruto and Gohan, praying his foolish nephews would survive this ordeal, and that his brother could handle the evil prince. With Goku and Vegeta, the two Saiyan warriors landed on their own respected rocks. Vegeta chose to stand above Kakarot, a silent symbolic gesture of the classes they were born with. The super elite prince and the low class. Vegeta couldn't help but talk in a mocking tone. You should be honored. It's not every day that a bottom-tier boy like you gets to fight an elite warrior like me. The wind blew both their long black spiky locks, eyes stuck in a permanent gaze of clashing wills. It's unlikely you knew this, but Saiyans are tested for combat aptitude soon after we are born. The pitiful babies born with a low power level are shipped off to a planet with no serious threat, just like you were. If that's how I got to Earth, then I'm grateful, Goku said with a smile. Indeed, he was grateful. He made many friends, found love, and had children who he hoped would one day carry on his legacy. The Saiyan warrior raised on Earth was just fine being son Goku. The name Kakarot didn't mean anything to him. On this planet, we know even the weakest of warriors can beat an elite if they work hard enough. At least you lot have a sense of humor. Vegeta chuckled to himself before shifting into his signature fighting stance, a royal form passed from father to son. Time to show you a power that a low-class warrior like yourself could only dream of. Goku said nothing as he fell into the classic stance of the Turtle Hermit's school. His muscles were tense, and he was ready to spring into action at any moment. That's when he saw Vegeta's muscles give a brief twitch. Goku quickly leapt forward, meeting the Prince of all Saiyans midway in a mighty deadlock. Vegeta wouldn't say it out loud, but he was somewhat impressed by Kakarot's strength. He could understand why Nappa lost, but he could tell his fellow Saiyan was hiding something. Goku went for a high kick to Vegeta's head only for it to miss by a hair's breadth. The prince was quick as he maneuvered through the air and landed a sharp kick to Goku's solar plexus. Spittle flew from Goku's mouth as he was momentarily stunned, then a blow from the right had him seeing spots. A follow-up from the left left him wheezing, but he wouldn't let another punch get through. He caught Vegeta's clenched fist, surprising the smaller Saiyan by throwing him with all his might over his shoulder, giving chase as he landed a sharp kick to the armored Saiyan's back. Vegeta growled as he cracked an eye open to see Goku was already in front of him, returning the favor with a gut punch of his own and a right hook that sent Vegeta flying back. Goku gave chase in a heavy streak of silver ki, yelling as he went in for another punch only to receive a ki blast to the face for his efforts. Mounts crumbled and blasted apart from the following detonation of energy. Goku's body was a pillar of destruction as he crashed through several tall rock formations, using ki to stop himself from crashing into the earth below. He flipped to his feet, using the smoke cover to his advantage. Where are you, Kakarot? Vegeta was cautious as he flew closer to the massive cloud, obscuring his enemy. He cursed his inability to sense energy like the Earthlings, and made a note to himself to figure it out when he got the chance. A sudden explosion of ki parted the heavy dust cloud. Goku stood with bent knees, teeth clenched as he was surrounded by an intense red aura. His muscles bulged heavily, and he almost looked like he was in pain, but he pushed past it with a roar. Kaioken! Ko K! Vegeta's eyes bulged wide in pain. A followed-up punch dazed the prince beyond belief, and the uppercut to the jaw sent Vegeta flying and crashing into a mountain. The brown rocks falling and crumbling into a heap upon the dazed and furious prince. Goku, not wanting to let the opportunity slip him by, cupped his hands by his side and charged a quick Kamehameha, letting the blue beam loose on where he sensed Vegeta to be buried. The prince could see the blue beam rapidly approaching his buried form. Snarling in rage, Vegeta let loose a thunderous bellow as purple ki erupted around his shaking form, stopping and countering the Kamehameha before it could get close and do any serious harm. Vegeta closed his eyes and took a breath before looking back up at Goku with a smirk, slowly floating into the sky as he said, "I'll give credit where credit is due. You're strong. I'd say you're even stronger than your son." Goku smiled in pride, accepting the compliment, as he couldn't help but admire Naruto's strength, especially since the halfling was so young with plenty of room to grow. "He is a chip off the old block after all. Your boy managed to draw out a great deal of power from me, but he didn't bring out everything. Allow me to honor you with the full power of a Scion Elite." Vegeta hunched forward, teeth grit in a menacing smile as a vein bulged near his temple. The sky became black with clouds. Lightning struck the earth in a vicious reaction to Vegeta's full power. Goku was less shocked, terrified but also awed by Vegeta's mortifying display. This is bad, his power is shaking the very earth itself. And yet, I can't help but feel all fired up. Is this because of my Scion side? The Scion raised on earth didn't get a moment longer to ponder, as the very storm Vegeta summoned with his magnificent but terrifying energy was blown away from the aftershock of him reaching full power. The prince cracked a cocky smirk at Goku before disappearing and reappearing in front of the unprepared father of two, surprising him with a nasty head but that sent Goku soaring. But the prince of all Science was far from finished. He gave chase, and Vegeta made sure to bury his foot as deeply as he could in Goku's stomach, giving a sadistic smile as he did so. Goku struggled to keep up with Vegeta's overwhelming speed, gasping as the prince buried his elbow between his shoulder blades in a nasty unforeseen strike. Goku attempted to retaliate with a back punch, but received a kick to the chin that sent him flying back. Not wanting to give Vegeta the opportunity to land another bone-crushing blow, he flipped mid-air and landed just in time to see the deadly prince launching a massive ball of ki that cut through the air like a comet. Goku knew there was no chance of him simply dodging it normally, so he had no other choice but to rely upon the power of the Kaioken once more. Kaioken ×2! Goku was once again surrounded in a heavy intense red aura, leaping out of the way just in time as Vegeta's attack reduced a hefty part of the area to rubble. The prince was relentless as he took aim and fired a fearsome ki wave that Goku barely managed to dodge. The top right half of his GI was incinerated, but Goku himself was fine. The Scion raised on earth quickly took to the ground, keeping his eyes squarely on Vegeta as he ripped off his ruined GI top. "I can't keep up even with the Kaioken ×2. Goku muttered to himself before smiling, chuckling as he said, "Oh well, better to blow myself up than to let him do it. What's the matter, Kakarot? Out of silly little tricks?" Vegeta mocked, arms folded, as he thought to himself that this battle would be far easier than he expected. "Not quite." Goku quipped back before grunting as he flexed his stiff and bulging muscle, surprising even Vegeta as he roared, "I just need my body to last as long as it can. Kaioken ×3. Goku was hunched over as he built energy. He lifted his head to level Vegeta a glare, and then rushed the prince in a red streak of energy. The ground Goku stood previously shattered apart from his speed and power. Vegeta, who had been previously dominating the fight, was unprepared for a punch that felt like it almost took his head clean off his body. Yet the Scion Defender of Earth was not going to let his assault end here. In a spike of speed, Goku traveled around Vegeta, kicking the shorter man in the spine with both of his boot-covered feet. Vegeta was unable to speak from the pain, managing to grit his teeth as he flipped around mid-air, firing a ki blast at Kakarot in retaliation. But the power of the Kaioken outclassed his strength and speed significantly, yet one must wonder if the cost was too great as every blow from Goku damaged his own body more and more. A sudden and surprise kick to Vegeta's face sent the Scion Prince spiraling into a titanic boulder, reduced to rubble as Vegeta's flying body made contact. Vegeta laid buried for only a moment before the rocks and dirt were blown off his form with a shout of pure fury. The Scion Prince looked crazed as bruises and marks littered his form. His eyes were shaking with rage. "Curse you!" Vegeta attempted to throw a punch to stop Goku's charge, but the younger Scion surprised the elite warrior by flipping over his punch and shooting himself back while landing a knee once again on Vegeta's back, hitting the prince in the same spot where he kicked him earlier. The great and mighty Vegeta was left confused, dumbfounded even as he realigned himself and charged back at Kakarot. It didn't make sense. There was no way such a low-class warrior could hold a candle to someone of such royal and elite status as Vegeta, and yet, he was. He was making Vegeta have to put in effort. He was actually managing to hurt the prince, and worst of all, he was winning. That thought alone was near enough to drive the prince of all Scions to madness. Vegeta knew Kakarot's power level had exceeded his own with his Kaioken technique, but no matter how hard he tried to overpower the man, he just wasn't strong enough to do so. Rah! Goku ducked under Vegeta's right hook to counter, with a gut-rocking punch to the solar plexus. Vegeta's eyes went wide as his pupils thinned, cradling his stomach as he took a step back, followed by another. Be stupid. Goku was panting heavily, one eye closed from the pain of his torn body. He was sure King Kai was screaming his head off in other world, calling him an idiot for pushing his body past his limits, but the father of two had no choice. He knew that if there was any chance of him beating Vegeta, he would have to shred past his previous limits, even at the cost of his own body. This low-class scum managed to surpass my power? Vegeta questioned, his ego unable to accept that someone of a lower status had actually managed to surpass his power. This cannot be happening. Goku was silent. Even while in immense pain, he kept his guard up, waiting tensely to see what Vegeta would do. I am an elite Saiyan warrior. I cannot be beaten by low-class filth like him. In Vegeta's mind, this wasn't right. It shouldn't be possible, but it was. The blood that trickled down his chin was proof enough. I think I might have overdone it with the Kaioken. My whole body feels like it's about to collapse in on itself. I need to finish this fast before I'm the first one to fold. Vegeta felt the blood on his chin and used his white glove to wipe away the crimson liquid of life. What is this? Blood? I have shed my noble blood for this piece of trash. It was this act of realization that caused the battered prince to snap. His pride was wounded beyond measure, and Vegeta would not let this stand. That knowledge, I cannot endure. What is he? Goku questioned in worry. The condensed heavy buildup of purple ki was frightening as it was dangerous. I've had more than enough of this damn planet. It's about time I turn it to ashes, and you along with it. Vegeta rocketed towards the sky, pulling his arms back as he charged his signature technique. The purple ki blast doubled in power, and was even more dangerous than the gallic gun he unleashed against Naruto. I guess I have no choice. I'll have to give it everything I got. Kaioken times 3. Goku was desperate as he fell into a crouch, arms and hands cupped by his side, a Kamehameha burned to life between his fingers. Goku was sure it was to be his strongest and biggest Kamehameha yet, chanting the name of his attack with all his heart, for he knew it wasn't just his life on the line. Prepare to perish with this world you love so much. Die, Kakarot! Vegeta snarled like the savage Ozaru that lay dormant deep inside, launching his gallic gun with all his might. Goku threw his hands forwards as he screamed a deafening H-A! A roar so loud that even King Kai, who was spectating the battle that decided Earth's fate, was left in awe by his pupil's power. Goku's blue ki beam soared upwards in a hopeful streak of defiance, while Vegeta's deathly purple ki blast purged down, its earth-shattering power blocked and countered by Goku's Kamehameha. K-boom! Vegeta yelled as he put more power into his blast, steadily pushing Goku's Kamehameha back bit by bit. Goku refused to give up. He couldn't and he wouldn't. The faces of his sons flashes before his eyes, followed by his wife, Chi-Chi, and his many friends. The Saiyan warrior raised on Earth snapped his eyes open, called upon the power of the Kai once more as he bellowed. Kaioken times 4! Goku was nearly blown off his feet as his Kamehameha doubled in size and power. The blue beam of hope barreled past Vegeta's gallic gun, hitting the prince point blank and carrying him against his will high into the sky. Goku was left as a panting mess, arm shaking as it felt like every muscle and body was torn apart by his new technique. The man had to take a knee as sweat dripped off his battered form. Goku! Goku glanced up through his sweat-soaked black spikes of hair, giving a tired grin at the sight of an old friend. Yajirobe? What are you doing here? Yajirobe crossed his arms, bumping his katana as he did so. I came to help. I've just been sticking to the shadows, waiting for my time to strike. Glad to have you watching our backs. Goku said as he slowly rose to a standing position, wincing in pain from the strain put on his near-crippled form. Looks like you don't need it though. I saw you gave that nasty Saiyan what for. Yajirobe said, confident his Saiyan friend had taken care of Vegeta. Yet Goku didn't give such a thought any merit. He knew Vegeta was alive, and was waiting for his fellow Saiyan to make his vengeful return. Yajirobe, you need to get out of here. I don't think that was enough to defeat him. Why, you mean he's still alive? The shorter but larger man gave a big gulp, sweat trickling down the side of his pudgy cheek as he started to walk backwards, weakly saying, Well, I'll see you around, Goku, good luck. Up high past the clouds, Vegeta floated, seething as he struggled to grasp the fact that he was overpowered by Kakarot. This can't be me, outclassed by trash like him. GNH! Curse you, Kakarot! Do you hear me? Curse you! Vegeta took a moment to take a deep breath, temporarily dampening his steadily growing fury. The Prince of all Saiyans cracked a smirk as he thought to himself, I need to calm myself down. Kakarot has proven himself to be more dangerous than I gave him credit for, but no matter. Let's see how handles the power of a true Saiyan. Yet as Vegeta looked around the skyline now illuminated in a fine evening dusk, he found himself confused and struggling to find Earth's moon. The moon should be out by now. So where is it? Vegeta muttered before the realization of what was missing had the alien gritting his teeth in frustration. No, it can't be. Those damn rats! You're much more clever than I thought, but getting rid of the moon won't save you. I'll lose a bit of strength by doing this, but I have no other choice. Heh, I'm sure Kakarot is going to be in for quite a shock. Vegeta thought to himself, as he quickly descended back down to the rocky ground below. Looks like he's finally coming back down. Goku concealed a wince as he took a step back, once again reading himself for whatever Vegeta might do. I'm starting to think I don't have any other choice. I need to use the Spirit Bomb. It's the only way I'll be able to win. You must have thought you outsmarted me by blowing up your moon. Vegeta snarked, glaring at Goku in detest. The moon? Goku questioned, his face scrunching up in confusion. Don't act coy with me, Vegeta said, as he slowly built ki into his hand, being slow and cautious so Kakarot wouldn't be wise enough to realize. Let me ask you, Kakarot, do you even know why we transform during a full moon? What are you getting at? Goku asked, a pit starting to form in his stomach, as he felt like Vegeta was planning something big. It's quite simple. Moonlight is just sunlight being reflected off the surface, but did you know, when it's being reflected by the moon, it contains an important key factor called green spectrum radiation. When the moon is full, that radiation exceeds 17 million Xeno units per second, and when we absorb that full amount through our eyes. Vegeta's tail unwrapped itself from around his waist during his explanation of Saiyan biology. Goku felt a decent amount of dread build up within his stomach. He didn't know what Vegeta was planning, nor did he know why the Saiyan Prince was telling him all this, but he still listened nonetheless. The Saiyan reaction is set off in a certain gland in our tails, and then finally our great transformation begins. There are many moons around this galaxy, but no matter the planet they orbited nor their size, their green radiation will not exceed 17 million ZPS without the circular reflective space of a full moon. Vegeta held out his right hand, face set in concentration, as he started to generate a white ball of ki above his palm. The greatest Saiyan warriors can compress the planet's atmosphere with a small power ball, creating an artificial moon that reflects 17 million Xeno. His power level just went down a bunch. Goku questioned, eyes focused on the white ball of ki. It's time, Kakarot. It's finally time for you to die. Make sure to remember why a low-class fighter should never challenge an elite. Ha 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 ha! Vegeta launched the white ball of ki high into the sky, reaching the upper atmosphere as he clenched his right hand right, roaring out. Burst open and mix! The white ball of ki grew tremendously in size. Goku had to shield his eyes with one of his arms. Barely able to crack open one eye but still managing to do so, the Saiyan raised on Earth watched in horror as Vegeta began to transform into something monstrous. His eyes glowed red. He shook uncontrollably as if something deep inside was clawing to get out. His teeth sharpened into fangs, as his mouth steadily formed into a muzzle. His ears lost their roundness, becoming sharp and pointed like a demon. His face steadily started to morph and change color. The part of his skin that isn't growing fur took on a light brown hue. Vegeta's muscles grew to tremendous sizes, his body morphing and changing to become something gigantic, something awful. Goku stared at the monstrous ape in horror, unable to believe this creature was the same man he was fighting mere minutes ago. Ha ha ha! What do you think of that, Kakarot? Vegeta's voice came out in a deep rumbling tone. He took a big step forward, relishing in Goku's fear as the much smaller man took a step back. Why do you look just like that monster that killed my grandpa? Goku accused as he fell into a stance, ready to give himself distance at a moment's notice. You little fool. A Saiyan is most powerful in their Ozaru form. A Saiyan that still has their tail, that is. Vegeta mocked as he took another titanic step forward, ready to end Kakarot once and for all. Now Goku wasn't the smartest man on Earth. This he knew, but he was a lot more clever than people gave him credit for, and it didn't take long for the Saiyan raised on Earth to realize that he was the one who murdered his grandfather. He was the one that appeared during the tournament as a child, and nearly destroyed everything if it wasn't for his master.